got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my phone, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my phone, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my phone, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my phone, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my phone, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my phone, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my phone, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my phone, she got me locked in on cup though. got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though.
Well, good evening, everybody. It's a pleasure to be back. George Morgan here at your service. It's PSGL, it's Wednesday night, it's Spain tonight as well. Lots on the table, lots of battling. The title contest is still alive and kicking. And Jack, it's only taken us 10 rounds. We're on the 11th. It's all to play for.
Boromant goes on the inside and takes the lead on the final lap of the race. Now it's side by side between Boromant and Runner, but Boromant's got the inside.
A guest star here in this phenomenal race. Cameron Dowd looking to take P2 in his very first PSGL F1 PC race. Incredible to say the least. You see that Putin still lead. 1.5 seconds. DRS is the name. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to PSGL. We are back yet again, and also have the normal cars that you would expect to see. We're no longer using the multiplayer car. The tyre grip issue has been resolved. We've had a new update which has corrected all the issues. Of course, my name is George Morgan. Joining me, Jack Cannan. We're back with PSGL tonight at Brazil, the Interlagos circuit, of course, the Autodromo Jose Carlos Pace, and also powered by the good people at GT Omega. 3 former winners that we've had here in PSGL include the likes of Thomas Ronha, not forgetting the likes of Nicolas Longue. What about Danny Berejne as well? But we could be seeing a new face up at the top, especially after last week, Jack, because it was the All-Star Jake Benham who went ahead and took a sensational PC F1 win at Zandvoort. Throws a real tantalising affair tonight, does it not?
It certainly does, because, well, if those of you weren't aware, of course, the first 2 rounds of this championship were voided because of the tyre glitch. So we raced at the F1 World Cars last week, and now we're back in the normal cars. We've had that patch, like George said. But yes, Jake Benham coming from 17th on the grid to take a victory. Not the first time we've seen that this season. We had Otis Lawrence do the exact same thing the week before that, but losing his win because of a cut track penalty, or a crossing the pit lane entry line at the worst possible time, but he did again take solace from that. So the championship was voided after the first 2 rounds, so Jake Benham is now the championship leader from that previous round. So we're really excited to see how this goes. Brazil is always, just every single time we've been here, it's been an absolute banger. Last time we were here as well was no exception, but it was the site of a certain Mr. Thomas Ronhar's first ever PSGL PC win, and he's back on the grid tonight.
Certainly is. Back again, certainly to the top end of PC F1. Obviously taking a sabbatical. Has had plenty of success actually recently in karting. In fact, a frequent winner in karts as well. Is continuing to impress at his level right now. But now returning back to the rigs. And also, I think we're developing a new fan favourite as well, Jack. You alluded to the likes of Otis Lawrence. And I think, again, we're witnessing, I think, a hellacious rise of this young man. 15 years of age, still not of age to actually take part in F1 esports challenges, but could be on the cusp of doing so this year when he turns 16. He has really been a sensation, one of the upward curve performers that we have really been blown away by. And not only that, including the likes of Jake Benham, the young guns are starting to rise and fight their way to the top. Obviously, granted, Otmir had some issues. Brake pedal broke during last week's race, something we very rarely see. But I'm just going to stop myself there a minute. The rain is coming down in qualifying. The rain is back, Jack Cannan.
Oh, it's back again, guys. We've got another wet Q1, and it's heavy rain conditions. This is full wet we are talking about here at Brazil. Well, we've had it last week, we had it this week, and threw up some surprises with the intermediates transitioning into dry, but it is completely wet for Q1 right here. So that throws everything up in the air now. Let's see how this goes. But this is going to be very, very exciting. We've got, again, our heavy hitters back on the grid once again in the forms of Josh Ito. Of course, he's in his proper car this week. He's in his Red Bull for this week as well. It's good to have Josh back as well. And a debutant, we'll hopefully see him out on the circuit in a few moments' time. But Jed Norgrove, he's making his PC F1 debut. Of course, he's part of the Red Bull Esports squad as well. So great to have him.
Yeah, absolutely, making his debut this season, and very exciting to have him here as well. Many of the young talents making their way through the PCF2 levels, from PCF3 as well. And I think we've also got to talk about the sign-ups, Jack. The number of tiers have skyrocketed here at PSGL as well. The incentive to get better at this level of the game has just really gone sky high. And we heard the tiers get announced as well by PSGL, the rumoured numbers of tiers as well, vastly exceeding. I think we got over 15 tiers for the PC platform alone, which is absolutely sensational. And again, producing stars of the future, which I think is definitely exciting. And the likes of Jed Nordgrove working his way through the tiered system, gets signed to the Red Bull team. It really just goes to show that we do have, I suppose, a procedure of growth, I think, in the world of league racing, eventually producing top F1 esports talents.
Absolutely, yeah. Jed Norgrove is a perfect example of that. Made his way up through the order and is now part of the outfit. So this will be his first time in PC F1, representing the Red Bull squad, filling in for the Freddie Rasmussen. I think he's filling in for this week, of course. Freddie not with us, but again, this will be a good opportunity for Jed to show what he can do at a level like this as well. We always like to see there's only one car out on the track at the moment, which is Marcel Kiefer, who's just almost giving us a parade lap. I think he's just doing it to keep us entertained. So thanks, Marcel, because we would have been sat here for a while otherwise as he parades around the Brazil circuit in the wet. Danny Beresne has just actually emerged out onto the circuit as well. We alluded to the previous winners before, of course. Danny Beresne is a former winner around this very circuit, so we'll see how he gets on. He's had a couple of good races so far this season, has come from sort of not ideal qualifying or not ideal first laps, has come through to sort of points paying positions or close to the top 5 each time, so it'll be good to see how Danny gets on here. Of course, Donoso, he'll be looking for a bit of redemption. He's had two sort of poor races. He wasn't best pleased with Jake Benham after the previous race that we saw afterwards with the stewards' inquiries that did go on, but Fabrizio, he's had two kind of races to forget. Qualified really well in Kota, was caught up in a turn 1 instant, and again was caught up in an instant in the beginning of the previous round as well at Zandvoort. So we'll see how Fabrizio gets on right now, but guys are testing the wets, testing the inters, and I think we've sort of got our answer is what tyres we need to be on. We need to be on the full wets.
Yeah, I think so. Danny Beresne hopping on those tyres as we speak. The last time, of course, he won here was back in Season 30, the only time he's won here in the PSGL PC Championship. In fact, we've had vastly different winners. I don't think we've had one consecutive winner at all in this championship, and certainly not a driver that has gone and done more than one victory here in this tier. But still, nonetheless, Beresne here looking to try and maybe be the first driver to enlist that. That same year where he did win it was his most successful PSGL run to date, of course, back in Season 30, would finish second in behind Jarno Watmir in the championship. Remember back in 2019 as well, he alongside Brendan Lee would cultivate Mercedes, one of their more dominant runs since records began in F1 esports. And Beresne that year was certainly one of the figments up at the top, looking to challenge Brendan Lee for the F1 esports title. He's now back here again, Jack, and certainly given the fact that we've had the handling model change, there certainly has been some correspondence in terms of Beresne's pace. He hasn't been out of the way of late.
No, he hasn't. There's been a good correlation with sort of guys who've been at the top for a consistent amount of time, didn't quite get the hang of the previous game, are now starting to re-find a lot of pace. So let's see. I think it's been a good sort of run of form for Beresne, even with the qualifyings he's had or the instant he's had. He's managed to come back through. So we'll see if that will translate. If he can finally get himself across the line for a win this season. Off at the top of my head, I'm not sure if it was decided in the stewards' room after. There was so much that was going on in the final round of last season and the title decider between Barry Bormans and Thomas Ronald. But as far as I remember, Beresne actually won that race. It was just overshadowed by everything else that was going on. So he has taken a win in the previous season, but again, I'm happy to be corrected on that because, well, we didn't really know what was happening there either at the end of that, as Alvaro Carreton crossed the line to go to the top of the order for the moment. And this is a man who came close to winning here a couple of seasons ago. I think when the first time we came here to Brazil, he was the man who was fighting Nicolas Longue for a victory, and again came close to taking that in the end, as well as Tom Manley pops into third with his first lap as well. So it's been a while since we've been to Brazil. It's great to be back as Jed Norgrove pops in his first time as well. Now, if you're wondering, Danny Moreno, he's in an Aston Martin this week. Don't take that as literal. I think it's just because we didn't have anyone else to fill in the Aston Martin seat. He got transferred over to fill in for the second Aston Martin, which would be normally driven by John Evans. So he's going to be in the Aston Martin this week, and just to confuse us and make it really difficult to keep track of anything. But at least, George, we've got team logos and cars that we know what they look like.
Yeah, absolutely. It's Berejna across the line. I'm going to give you some extra credit as well, Jack, because Caraton did win here back in season 27.
I was right.
You were correct. Last race of the season went on in our first year of PCF1, took the victory, actually ahead of Nicolas Longuet, I believe, on that occasion, and did so in brilliant style too. But Berejna to the top, and Caraton back again to the forefront with a 1:18.505. We're going to continue seeing the times coming through. We've got a purple first sector from Jed Norgrove here as he makes his way through the next left-hander now. He's going to peel his way up the hill, out of the very, very tricky left-hander at Junsao, and now making his way round the Archibancadas as well. He's going to beckon his way past the grandstands, but coming into the pits, despite setting that purple first sector, there are other improvements out on track, including that of Shanaka Clay, who's now on a slow lap here at this point. So certainly no improvements going to be issued in from him, but other cup drivers are out on track. Barry Burremand also rejoins us out onto the circuit too, heads through in the middle sector on wet tyres. The Ferrari, who is still yet to nail down a time, a 19.3 in the first sector, which puts him right on trend with that of Fabrizio Donoso. So a very good opening lap so far for Barry Burremand, but obviously we'll have to wait and see what he enlists coming into the closing stages of this very lap. But certainly the time's up on the table. Caraton going for an extended run. A lot of these drivers will run extra fuel here at this point. Caraton, incidentally, invalidating this particular run. But you will find that plenty of the drivers will try and do extended runs here on this circuit in the wet conditions just to grow that confidence here out on track. As Tomek Paradzic goes second fastest, Jack.
Yeah, he's in Ferrari for this week, filling in for Nicolas Longuet. And, of course, he's not normally part of the Alfa Romeo squad, but he is filling in that seat for this week, as you can see. But you're right about consecutive victories. We haven't had one so far this season. Of course, we take into account the voided first two rounds, which still did happen, just no points were scored. We've had three different winners in the first three rounds, of course. Lucas Blakely taking the opening round, Shanaka Clay taking the second round, and Jake Benham winning last week. So can we get a fourth different winner here in PSGL? It'd be great if we could. We'll see if anybody can go back to back. But I think it's interesting. You know, we've had the opening three rounds. Barry hasn't won one yet, which I think is an interesting one, an interesting stat, because I don't think that's actually happened before. That Barry Borman hasn't at least won somewhere in the opening five rounds, but again, he's come second on basically every occasion so far. So keeping an eye of what he's going to be able to do, and I mean, he's got plenty of confidence heading into this week, of course, as Patrick Seitpost pops up to the top of the order, but beaten immediately by Danny Berejna. But I know he's very happy to see the patch resolved, and again, it was involved in that battle for the lead and the win back in Zandvoort, but again, I think it was an instant with Otis Lawrence that sort of dropped him down to the back, dropped him down a couple of positions, then behind Jake Benham chasing after, but he's again consistently, he finishes at least second in every season opener we've had so far since season 27.
Yeah, absolutely right indeed. Jana Watmir, currently out on a set of intermediate tyres, has incidentally set the fastest first sector in 18.9, the only driver to get into the 18.9. So it does go to show that there might be some extra added time at the helm of these intermediates. Certainly there are still cars that have yet to set times who have only just donned the intermediates, so perhaps a little bit of patience out on track for some of the drivers, as we now see Otmir now making his way through the final corners, heading down through towards the line now. I reckon this is going to be a quick one. It certainly will be. A 17.434 here blows away his competitors Barry Burrman, and Danny Berejna goes 0.6 faster than Ada Burrman as well, right to the top end. The Flying Dutchman back here in Q1.
Yeah, well, there's your answer. What tyre should you be on? The answer is the intermediates. So he picked the perfect time to come out onto the circuit on those as well. Josh Ito as well. He's out on the circuit on a set of intermediates as well. This will be an interesting end to this Q1 session. Then it's all about being in the top 15, of course, to make your way through to Q2. But we'll see now how quickly this track may change, because we've seen it change very quickly on previous occasions. Here comes Josh Ito in the Red Bull for the first time this season, and he'll cross the line and go quicker again. 3/10 up on Opmeer, 17.162 for Josh Ito in the Red Bull car. So now we can expect to see more and more cars will come out on the intermediate tyres. Tom Manley is out on the set at the moment. Dylan Warren's on a lap on the wet. Jed Nordgrove is out on the inters, but has not put a time in yet, as Marcel Kiefer now goes quickest on the intermediates.
Yeah, I think now the track is starting to generate that little bit more. I'm telling you this now, Opmeer has just taken a purple first sector again to Josh Ito, who currently sits second fastest, just in behind that of Kiefer. Losing out by a tenth as Jarno goes fastest again with a 16.8. That's another blistering lap, and plus 2 tenths, in fact 2.5 tenths clear of teammate Marcel Kiefer up at the sharp end. So Mercedes really working in these damp conditions. And I'm just looking at my timing screen as well, looking at Jed Norgrove again finding time in the first sector, almost matching, mirroring that first sector by that of Jarno Opmeer. Also we're seeing Tom Manley go fastest of all in the first sector as well. So plenty to look at here, ladies and gentlemen. Qualifying really kicking off. It's no way near done. But I tell you what, with 5 minutes and 40 to go, Jack, given these current circumstances, Caraton has just gone fastest in the second sector as he makes his way out of the Junkao corner, heads up towards the line. Where's the Williams going to go? Caraton, a previous winner, goes to the top with a 1:16.477. Hasn't forgotten how this track works. Also, what about Jed Norgrove, who currently sits 10th fastest? Already has taken a purple second sector away from Caraton, up towards the line. Is he going to go to the top? Not quite. Front row, though, if this was Q3, but nevertheless in Q1, second fastest.
Yeah, I was about to say that we haven't seen either of the McLarens or either of the Alfa Romeos out on the circuit yet. And, well, Lucas Blakely is now out onto the circuit as well. The man who took the opening round, but of course that was now voided. So he's back to square one, missed last week. So he's got a bit of catching up to do now. But Lucas Blakely's out on the circuit, as is Brendan Lee in the Alfa Romeo, and he's going to be looking to see what he can provide this week. But it's going to get very, very tricky now because the track is improving consistently. So there's going to be some quick times put in now. It's all going to be about, you'd imagine, who's going to be the last car across the line will get the best track conditions, you would imagine. As currently you've got Shanaka Clay, who's out on the circuit now as well, has just gone half a second quicker than his previous best in the first sector alone. That sector is only about 4 corners long, so there's plenty of time left as he almost slides it through. Donoso finds a bit of time. He goes just in front of Alvaro Caraton on the 16.43, a couple of hundredths quicker than the Spaniard. So we'll see what else there's going to be lots and lots of chopping and changing here, and well, we'll see who's going to make it through, because, well, it seems like it's going to be a bit of an ask to even do that. But Shanaka Clay, he's just gone quickest of all in the middle sector. Yeah, and sensational lap as well from Donoso, setting the purple first sector, and a really, really good time as well. I'm getting word on my telemetry as well that the rain is going to continue for 17 minutes. Obviously, that will extend over Q1, but it's a job to know what will happen when we head into Q2. So we're now seeing more and more cars make their way around. Shanaka Clay still out on track as well. We're currently seeing Brendan Lee out on screen, and he's got quite a little bit of traffic behind him, but managing to usurp many of them as he heads through the next left, heading through towards Decidia del Lago. Then open up the throttle again towards the Pinerino corner, and then it's going to send it then into the technical middle sector, which is very treacherous. Jake Benham now going to the top as well with a 1:16.313, and Lucas Blakely, a former champion, the current F1 Esports World Champion, to the top with a 1:16.1. I tell you what, it makes really the rush for the bottom 5 all the more treacherous, because there are still times improving here at this point, Jack. It's a job to know who's going to be in or out at this point. Yeah, Blakely coming out his first attempt straight up to the top as well. Brendan Lee, this is his first attempt as well. He's coming through the second to last corner now on the run up the hill. Make sure he gets a clean run out of that second to last corner and all the way up to the start finish line. Thomas Ronar is also out in a lap as well. Isfan Pookie second fastest in his Alpine this week. Here comes Brendan Lee, 2-time F1 Esports champ. What's he got in the tank? He's got 7th fastest for the moment, 16.5. So that just shows you really good effort. But Dylan Warren again impressing up to 4th place race for the moment in this Q1 session. It's going to get very tight for space out there in just a few moments' time. Danny Moreno is about to cross the line now as well in the Aston Martin this week. Thomas Ronar goes 5th fastest. Here comes Danny Moreno. He's looking on a tidy lap here for Danny Moreno. What's it hit for him? 8th fastest for Danny Moreno. And we'll have a couple more still to cross the line here in just a few moments' time. There's one of the other McLarens, which I imagine was Wilson Hughes, will be beginning his lap as well. He'll be looking to get himself back on the podium once again. But pressure's on now, I feel, for a lot of these guys, because Lucas Blakely came out, delivered straight away.
Yeah, stunning lap from Pookie as well to go 2nd fastest here at this point, 1:16.3 in the Alpine. Certainly must be on the earmark for many an F1 esports team, because he certainly is a tremendous talent. Plenty of cars still out on track there. Wilson Hughes obviously about to set his first time and has left it to the very last minute, but we know that he has a lot of composure and certainly a lot of capability behind the wheel, as we now see more and more cars make their way through. Paradzik, incidentally, has gone fastest in the first sector, an 18.654 to his name, which certainly surpasses that of Lucas Blakely to some degree, but I've just seen an 18.647 from Blakely as well in the first sector, so again more times coming through as Paradzik makes his way out towards Junkau, and he's gone 2.2 seconds faster already on his previous best as he now climbs the hill now and makes his way around the crest of the embankment past the Archibancadas. Here comes the prancing horse in a bid to get himself out of the bottom 5. 2 Ferraris currently sit there. Otmir goes fastest, but Paradzik will go into the 115s. Burman will join him. A prancing horse double act here at the top of Q1.
That is some lap from Borman, isn't it? It's 15.6, 3/10 up on Paradzik. Epic stuff from the Iranian driver. So now this track is going to keep getting quicker and quicker and quicker. Sipos crosses the line, 3rd fastest for Patrick Sipos. Took pole here last season with a lap that was quicker than F1 Esports. And there goes Blakely by just a couple of hundredths in front of Borman for the moment. Jake Benham has popped himself into 3rd as well on a 15.9. But those two are they're on a different level. Blakely and Borman, 3/10 clear of everybody else so far on a 15.6. Great stuff from those two. So there's going to be more laps still to come. Do not take your eyes off the end of this Q1 as there's more cars across the line. Jed Norgrove, the provisional 6th fastest. Marcel Kiefer up to the line now for Mercedes. What can he do as he crosses the line? It's 7th fastest for him for the moment. Anybody else can improve. Dylan Warren, 5th fastest on a 15.9. Still more to come. Isfan Pookie only P12 for him for the moment. Shanika Clay can't improve. There's Danny Berezny up to 2nd fastest. One of the alphas coming up next now is going to be Brendan Lee. He's only just in for the moment, and not good stuff. Otmir goes 4th fastest. Still more to come as they cross the start-finish line. Here comes Thomas Ronar, who's in the drop zone. Currently, he's out. Ronar's out in Q1. That is a shocker for those two. Both of the Alfa Romeos are going to be out in Q1, and that is an absolute disaster for those two. That's the end of qualifying. Out in Q1, Isfan Pookie, Josh Edo, Brendan Lee, Thomas Ronar, and Danny Moreno all failed to make it through.
Shocking, certainly, to say the least. Both Alfa Romeos out in Q1. Brendan Lee, former 2-time champion. Thomas Ronar contending for the F1 Esports Championship last season and just fell short of the PSGL title after losing it to the man sat in 3rd fastest, Barry Buraman. But Blakely is your Q1 P1 sitter with a 1:15.668. Of course, still the top 3 all within the same half a tenth. Absolutely extraordinary. A mere 3,000 separating that of Buraman and Berejnay, who likes this track, has won here before. Berejnay in 2nd, in behind that of Lucas Blakely. Incredible. Edo and Pookie, they're both out as well. Wilson Hughes, credit to him, getting through by the skin of his teeth. 15th, right on the bubble, but enough to get himself into Q2. Danny Moreno, the machine, will certainly not be powering up heading in towards the next session, but it's all Lucas Blakely at this point. But I'll tell you what, Jack, some major shocks, and you wouldn't have even ever thought that you would see Alfa Romeo both evicted out of this session of qualifying.
Yeah, it's shocking, really. It looks like they all seem to just invalidate their final times, or didn't get it together at the end of qualifying there, because there was quite a substantial gap from 16th up to 15th, but the rest of them were all separated within the same 10th of a second. Really close across the board, but I love how close that is up at the front. Lucas Blakely, Danny Berezny and Barry Borman separated by less than 200ths of a second up the front. So those guys have got it sorted out in this part of qualifying at the very least. Jarno Watmir P4 in that one. Jake Benham, Sipos, Warren, Parajic. Well done to Jed Norgrove as well, straight through to Q2 in his first appearance as well. Marcel Kiefer, Donoso, Tom Manley, Shanika Clay and Wilson Hughes. And then we have, for some reason, why is Caraton listed as being eliminated? What's gone on there?
Yes, that is interesting. Caraton out, and that is bizarre. Didn't think we'd see that, but I'm not sure what has happened. Certainly must be a hijinks in the system. I mean, according to my screen, I'm looking on my screen, and I don't think the Williams is supposed to be out, but according to me, Caraton was 4th fastest.
I've just had word. I've just had words. What's happened, George? Alvaro Caraton's AI crashed his car. And that means he's out of qualifying.
So well, there we go.
It's as silly as it sounds. So unfortunately, Alvaro Caraton is out of this qualifying.
Right. Okay. Well, there we go. That's the reason why we're not going to be seeing Caraton in Q2. He is not in this next session. So Williams down to 1 car with Shanaka Clay as we now hear the engines fire up yet again. Jack, obviously, still the drama continues, and I tell you what. The AI at the helm, forcing. I was going to say he's going to need to call the AA after that, but certainly certainly with Caraton not proceeding through, that does put Williams on the back foot somewhat. Obviously, Clay now, who we're currently riding on board with, making his way out onto the circuit. That does leave them slightly one-legged, heading in towards the next session. Obviously, this is going to be yet again another clinic. Now, Q2 definitely is one of the high pressure cooker environments because, of course, you want to get yourself in to the top 10 because it'll get you in to the pole shootout, and at the same time being somewhere high up in the top 15 is also imperative, Jack, certainly on the strategy sense, because it tends to be decisive in whether you start on a certain set of tyres against the next, because obviously if you're outside the top 10 you might go for something a little more aggressive to make a few places and maybe box earlier and sort of pull off an undercut in comparison to everybody else, but at the same time you might choose to go that little bit longer if you're in the top 10.
Yeah, again, the longer this session stays intermediate as well, if we get a dry Q3, there's no tire saving going on here as well, and I can tell you it has stopped raining out on the circuit now as well. So this is going to get interesting in Q2. So these first laps, well, they're going to be important at the very least. You need to get yourself a time on the board early on, but you can't assume that the track is going to dry. We've seen rain stop, and then it just doesn't dry up for a solid 20 minutes. You never know with some of these conditions as well. So there's going to be lots on the line here. So they're all out on the circuit except for the 2 McLarens who are still in the pit lane here, waiting to figure something out, as well as Patrick Sipos. As Shanika Clay is out on the circuit now. He's the first man out there, and well, he's taken a victory this season. It didn't count for any points, but round number 2, he was the man who came out on top right there for the 2nd time in his PSGL career. A shock victory at that one, but it did a great job to bring it home nice and controlled towards the end as well. He was the man who benefited from the Otis Lawrence penalty at Kota. He was the man who took it to the flag right there, stuck with Otis. Started 2nd and finished 2nd on track and took the victory in the end, but didn't count for any points in the end of the day, but due to the tyre wear glitch. So he'll be looking to get himself back on the top step again, but this time for points. And it looks like the car is moving around quite a lot in the braking zone. I think maybe Shanika likes the car to be a bit more nervous underneath him, or have a little bit more front end as opposed to rear end, as he goes to a 15.3, and that's already 0.3 quicker than Q1.
Yeah, certainly is, and finding time as well. The track temperature currently sits at 27 degrees as now Donoso goes fastest. Jarno Watmir is also on a flying lap and has already enlisted a purple 2nd sector, so makes his way across the line and will go fastest here at this point with a 14.662. So there you go, the improvements are definitely in hand. More cars coming through as well, including Danny Berejne, who has found plenty of time himself, has did register a purple 2nd sector, and soon after that Tomas Parajic has taken that away from him as Kiefer goes to the top. Here comes Danny Berejne and does enlist the fastest time. Barry Burremand, who we did see snatch away that purple middle sector. Parajic to the top with a 1:14.4. The track improving time and time again as Burremand now enlists himself around the Aki Bankada, still going past the pit lane on the inside as he now crosses that white line, and yes, it's a 14. 1:47 for Barry Burman, the rapidly fast Iranian, returning again to the top. But Kiefer already not messing around, purple in the first sector already.
Yeah, track is improving very, very quickly. But Barry Bormand, again, 3/10 he finds somewhere in the middle sector there. But he's got serious confidence now as Barry Bormand. 14.1, but track state improving with every lap that goes by. So we'll see how quickly this is going to improve, because we've seen initially 14s or low 15s, and now we've already gone into the low 14s in the space of maybe a lap or so. So this could go to dry conditions. We never know, but we'll sort of get the indication, because if DRS becomes enabled, that's going to be a huge advantage for a lot of these guys as Jake Benham begins a second attempt of a lap right now. But Patrick Sipos, Wilson Hughes, Lucas Blakely, they haven't come out onto the circuit yet, and they're not going for those initial runs because, well, they've probably seen that the track state is improving with every lap that goes by. So the longer they leave it, then surely the better track conditions for them. And there's DRS enabled. Yeah,
there you have it. DRS now enabled. Dylan Warren out on track is about to set a precedent sitting on his next lap. Was on a slow burner on his last run, but did take purple in the first sector, so definite improvements on hand. And we've just seen that DRS has become active, so we could yet see slick tyres come out into play. I can already see that Wilson Hughes is strapped on a set of softs, as has that of Patrick Sipos, so I can imagine that Lucas Blakely will likely do the same. Has been sat in the garage sort of supervising how the progress is certainly going on the circuit, as we're now seeing already a purple first sector being enlisted from Dylan Warren yet again. An 18.032 as Jake Benham rounds the final couple of corners. He's got to make his way through Junkao and then past the Archie Bancardas yet again. The Alpha Tauri, of course, a race winner last time out when we went racing at Sandbourne. So we take a little look at him making his way into the pits, not on a fast lap at this moment, but still Dylan Warren out on track. And as I said before, purple in the first sector has done a 37.8 in sector 2, as he now heads through this next left-hander out of Junkao as well. Dylan Warren, one of the feel-good factors of this season, getting back to his best form that we haven't seen since season 27 when the first championship was enlisted. But in a very aggressive line again from Dylan Warren as he looks to go to the top, does go fastest, the sole man in the 113s and a whole second faster than Barry Burman.
Yeah, that track has dried up quickly, hasn't it? It's almost completely dry in certain parts of the sectors now as well. But that's a whole second faster from Dylan Warren straight away on the inters. But we're very close as now the slicks have been strapped on. Here comes everyone out onto the circuit. Berezne is now out on the circuit on the sets of soft tyres. So now it gets interesting for this part. But Dylan Warren, he set the time, he did 13.1, but he's going to have to go all the way back around, strap on a set of the softs. So now out come the McLarens, as far as I can see, on the, well, one of them at least. Wilson Hughes is out onto the circuit now as well. So he didn't bother going out for a run of the inters at all, and has now come straight out onto the circuit on a set of soft tyres. What this does mean is that everybody will have, those who make it into the next part of qualifying will have some extra sets of soft tyres to use. So I reckon everybody will be using those new tyres heading into Q3 as well. So this will make it interesting as we wait for everyone to cycle around to get to the pit lane where Dylan Moore needs to get himself in, strap on a set of intermediate tyres and get back out again. But very intriguing how quickly that track dried up, because, well, about a session ago it was torrential rain and now it's completely bone dry out there in Brazil.
It is, and the temperature has shot up again by another 2 degrees. We're at 29 degrees here on the circuit, so naturally we are seeing it heat up. So the rain very quickly dissipating. Of course, Brazil, a hot country, as we all know, as we now see Danny Berejne make his way out of Junkao and then heading down through past the Archie Bancardas again. Current time to beat is that of Dylan Warren, and instead of 1:13.195, I can imagine that being surpassed here at this stage, given the fact that we're now seeing the slick tyres being issued to all the drivers out on track. Let's ride on board here with Danny Berejne as he now peels through the center S's, makes his way down this next straight, opens up the DRS as he heads his way down the Retro Postra out of Kermit of Sol. He's now going to make his way in towards turns 4 and 5. City of Delago comes up next, uses all the curb on exit. Ferradura will come next at turn 6 as well. Now this is a very sweeping right-hander, just gears down once into 6 and will just hold the throttle, makes his way down in towards the next right-hander. The Pinorino will come up next as well. He's got to literally hold his position down the inside, grip to the apex as he now makes his way through towards the next right again. Downshifts twice through this very sensitive section, back on the power again, doesn't even graze the curb as he comes around the Marulo corner now. Junkau comes up next. Danny Berejne, the Hungarian, who has certainly been on the precipice of winning titles in the past, not to mention winning many a league race as well in his history. Is a former league racing champion in the glory days of AOR, as well as we're now seeing Berejne make his way towards the line. The soft tyres working for him because it's a 107.215, Jack.
There is the perfect comparison of how much quicker the Inters are compared to the softs. 7 seconds faster already. 1 minute 7.215 is one of the shortest laps on the calendar. Jed Norgrove, 107.5 on his first time. Tom Manley will take that off him for the moment. We have Wilson Hughes crossing the line, now goes third. 107.394. Shanika Clay, second fastest on the 1 minute 7.228. Donoso, 1 minute 7.316. Now we wait for a couple more. Marcel Kiefer, he's coming up to the line now on his title. He's backed out of his lap to allow Tomek Paradzic to come through in the Ferrari. Heading up to the line now. Has the pole got enough to get himself through into Q3? Comes up to the start-finish line. What can he do? He goes fifth fastest, also 1 minute 7.3. Couple more still to come. Lucas Blakely crossing the start-finish line now. We'll go to the top of 1 minute 7.203. Very close. Bormann also does a 1 minute 7.231. And yes, you are not... do not adjust your screens. That is 6 drivers in the same tenth of a second, almost within the same half tenth of a second. 1 minute 7.524 is the cutoff currently. 4 minutes on the clock, and it's Lucas Blakely currently up at the front. But boy, is it close.
Certainly is very close up at the sharp end as well. Manley currently sat on a 107.254, and you just look at the sharp end as well, 203 for Lucas Blakely. So that means that essentially you're literally half a tenth pretty much between that of Manley and Blakely up in the top 5. That is absolutely sensational. If you consider Shepos, then you've got all the drivers near within 600ths of a second in the top 6. That is absolutely devastating. Blakely up at the sharp end though with a 107.203. A very competitive season, certainly on the helm of F1 Esports. I think this season, certainly a lot of the drivers aren't going to find it as easy as they did last year, and Blakely is certainly going to be challenged for a recurring championship should he be looking to try and obtain the same as what he did last year, and you can certainly imagine that's exactly what he's chasing. Comes into the pit lane now, 3 minutes and 20 still to go, still holds a grasp onto the top spot, but the concern here at this point, Jack, is getting into the top 10, and as it stands, we could be losing Norgrove, Warren, Kiefer and Otmir. Mercedes really need to get themselves out of the bottom 4.
Yeah, absolutely. Marcel didn't get the second or his first attempt together, but you would imagine he's definitely got something in the tank here to get himself through into Q3. If you are watching at home, hope you are enjoying. We have our resident analyst, Otis Lawrence, is in the chat, so feel free to ask him the strategy questions because we have no idea. We don't know what we're talking about. But Marcel Kiefer is out on the circuit for now. Jarno Otmir is also out on the circuit as well. These guys need to get their times in early in the session and to make sure that they think that they're going to be safe through to the next part of qualifying. But a big task ahead of them now. Didn't get the first runs together. Jarno, I don't think, actually came out initially for those times. But you can see how closely matched they are. 14.62, 14.66 for those two in the wet conditions, of course. Dylan Warren also hasn't done a time on the dry tyres yet, but you can see it's going to get busy now. Everybody's starting to emerge out onto the circuit, but it will be the 2 Mercedes who will get the first timed efforts across the line, just doing tyre prep, tyre warm-up as they head towards the start-finish line, but it will be Marcel Kiefer to get us underway for the last runs of Q2, and there, right there, I'd imagine is going to be a lobby restart. Jed Norgrove getting the almost famous 5-place penalty for illegal blocking at this stage, but that, ladies and gentlemen, the drivers have agreed, if that something does happen, we have to restart after qualifying, so we almost got to Q3.
Well, a much-needed meme, certainly, for this series.
Oh, there's another one. There you go.
Oh, there we go. Danny Berejne making it 2 out of a possible 20 cars. So there we go. Probably will be a restart, folks, but nevertheless, we got qualifying to get underway first. Kiefer is going to be the first to cross the line. Plenty of other cars as well out on outlaps. There is literally an empty pit lane. Every car in this session now out on track, as we're now seeing Kiefer make his way through the first sector. Now coming through the centre S's at turns 1 and 2. Curva de Sol at turn 3 coming up next as well. Now Kiefer, who's currently standing 13th fastest with a 114.625. That was set on intermediate tyres. Of course, now out on a set of slick tyres as he makes his way out of Decidia Del Lago, out of turns 4 and 5. Does have his teammate Jarno Otmir in behind him as well. Now, Otmir has gone purple in the first sector. He's enlisted as 16.695, which has well and truly blasted Lucas Blakely's first sector of a 16.811 as well. It may be mere hundredths, but nonetheless, it is also imperative if you want to get yourself to the top, and Otmir doing just that right now. But Kiefer has registered a 16.764, and that also faster than Blakely as they now head through the Junção corners now. A 33.907 this time for Kiefer. I can tell you that Berejne has gone fastest of all in the first sector as well, so the times are improving. It's all down to this, the shootout certainly for entries into Q3. It's Kiefer now who goes ninth fastest. Now that's dangerous. He might be in trouble. Jarno Otmir, he's going to cross the line. He goes fastest with a 107.143. A sensational lap for the Flying Dutchman. But we watch on now, Jack, because we could see yet another blistering time from Danny Berejne.
Yeah, there's more to come, but great lap from Jarno Otmir. They got it together. Tom Manley crossing the line. Here comes Benham crossing the start-finish line now. Goes 8th fastest in his AlphaTauri, the winner from last week. There's more to come, though. Here comes more cars to come. Warren will not make it. Here comes Danny Berejne then up to the start-finish line. Does he get himself through? He certainly doesn't. Goes fastest of all, 1 minute 7.107. Jed Norgrove is in for now into Q3 in his first attempt. Crossing the line, though. Now he gets knocked out. Parajic gets through on that time, but Patrick Sipos, there he is again by 0.02 of a second, goes fastest in Q2 for this moment. Donoso will get himself through P6. Here come the McLarens just behind. Wilson Hughes is only P10 for the moment. Now we wait to see. Blakely is currently safe, goes 3rd fastest on that time, but Boreman finds a bit more and goes on a 1 minute 7.054, and that brings to an end Q2. So out Jake Benham, Jed Norgrove, Marcel Kiefer, but is he on a timed lap? He's not, so he will not be making it through. And Dylan Warren also does not make it through in this part of qualifying. But this is looking fun, isn't it? Barry Boreman, fastest in this session, but once again, Patrick Sipos and Brazil just seems to go well together.
You certainly do. Of course, you've got to factor in also the fact that Danny Berejne, a former winner here as well, 3rd fastest. And just look at those deltas, minimal up in the top end. And I give Boreman credit, of course, coming off the back of winning the title here in PSGL. Of course, moving from McLaren, where he was partnered with Lucas Blakely last season. That, of course, delivered McLaren a sensational Constructors' Standings victory. But Boreman obviously moving because he wants a shot at the championship this season in F1 Esports. Moving across to Ferrari, he cites that as his best chance to do so. Of course, being partnered by Nicolas Longue this season, but also Tomic Parajic in this event that we've got here in PSGL as well, who is a very tenacious performer and is racing here as well, and will go through to Q3 at this stage too. So both Ferraris getting through at this point as well. Danny Berejne, though, Jack, returning to former glories, past-time performances that we've seen from Berejne. It's coming back. He is getting himself back into the mix. Top 3 again this time. And also credit to Patrick Sipos, team leader at Alpine, also in the mix.
It's looking like a really good. It's looking like a really good fight here, but it's so close up at the top. We'll get the exact deltas when we get the results up on screen here. But Barry Boreman tops Q2 once again. He has the record for the most pole positions in PSGL. Might be on course to get another one. Here are the gaps then. 0.05 between the top 2, but then you look down, and it was basically a tenth was all it was between the top and the bottom of making it through. 2 tenths down to Dylan Warren, and that is the gaps here. Now you see the +5 positions that will be removed. We will be getting a lobby restart after Q3 has finished, but an under the radar performance there from Tom Manley, George. P6 in that session and easily through.
Yeah, absolutely, and he's been, again, another standout figure that has recently joined the top end as well. Of course, has always shown that essence of brilliance, and is also bringing it again here at Brazil, so credit to Tom Manley for that. Wilson Hughes also getting himself into the top 10 as well, beating some of the many greats that we have had here in the world of league racing, and also that of F1 Esports too. So I tell you what, folks, you don't want to miss it. You don't want to go away. Do not look away, because Q3 is literally just around the corner. I'm looking forward to it, Jack. I'm going to ask you now, everyone at home, let us know who you think is going to get pole position. Of course, let us know in the live chat. Jack, who do you think it's going to be? It's looking very tight up there.
Yeah, this is a tough one to call because we've had obviously a wet start to Q1. It's a tough one. Barry Boreman obviously looks like he's got a bit more, but I'm going to tip Patrick Sipos again. He just seems to pull it out. He pulled a worldie of a lap out of the bag last time out, but yeah, I think I'm going to go Patrick Sipos once again. So that's my, it might be a bit of a gamble, but I think it might pay off this time. Let's see.
Yeah, you seem to fancy Sipos around this track. Obviously, you referred to his recent form around this circuit as well. Does have form around this circuit, as you allude to, in terms of clambering onto pole positions. But we are back underway in terms of quality. I'm going to read through some of your messages, guys. We have got a lot of people tipping Lucas Blakely. Shanaka Clay gets a little bit as well. Who else we got? Otis is getting some support, even though he's not racing here tonight. But great to have Otis in the live chat. Great to see you, Otis. Hope you keep him well. Nicholas Longue, if he was racing, most definitely, I'd imagine he'd have a great chance as well. And a few people also asking where Alfie Butcher is. Obviously, I'm sure we'll see him soon enough. Jana Watmir getting a heads up as well. Of course, one of the only Mercedes through in this session, because unfortunately for Kiefer, did not make it through, unfortunately. So it's one Mercedes here at this point. So we'll have to sit tight on that. Plenty of cars, they're making their way around. I can tell you that the Aston Martin, I believe, is currently leading the way. That is Fabrizio Donoso, who's currently leading the contingent through the final corner. So he's going to be the first man to nestle in a fast lap here with 10 minutes to go. As the Aston now powers through, opens up the DRS and heads down the long straight. No rain expected, folks. The telemetry has given us the vibes that we aren't expecting rain here at this point. As now Donoso peels through the center S's once again, and what you would gather, one of 4 occasions that are certainly ahead of some of the drivers. In fact, 5 occasions if you include the cool-down laps that we will have later on as well. It is going to be sensational, very close up at the sharp end. Many of these drivers who have contested for championships, Donoso back in 2017, Buraman last season, Opmir, who's won it twice, as well as many others. Lucas Blakely, also a former winner, and has also contended for it the previous season as well, where Opmir did the double. But as we're now seeing them make their way through the middle sector still, the Aston Martin team, who have really shown their promise in the real life of F1 with the likes of Fernando Alonso and that of Lance Stroll. Donoso looking to throw his hat in the ring on the F1 esports side and is giving himself another great account again. He has got the purple first sector, a 16.651, Jack.
A good middle sector from Donoso there, and he's had good qualifying all the way through this season. But the races have not gone his way for the majority of the part. He was caught up in an instance at the beginning of Kota and in the last round as well. Here comes Donoso. It's a 1 minute 7.132, and that's immediately competitive. Now remember, the fastest time in Q2 was a 1 minute 7.054, which was set by Barry Borman. So immediately competitive. Here comes Shanaka Clay across the line. Also does a 1 minute 7.1. Now we got more to come though. Wilson Hughes crossing the start-finish line now. Looks good from the McLarens. 1 minute 7.3. Blakely though, he looks like he could be contention for pole. And it's a 1 minute 7.030. Fastest time so far from Lucas Blakely. But Borman, what has he got in the tank? He's got a 7.019. Just a hundredth of a second is all it is. And slotting into third place is Patrick Sipos for the moment on a 1 minute 7.119. But it's currently the heavy hitters. Barry Borman versus Lucas Blakely. Just a hundredth of a second. Former teammates at McLaren. And these two have been slugging it out in the races that they have been in for this one. So currently Borman with the advantage, but still we have not seen times from Jarno Watmir, from Danny Beresnay, from Tom Manley, and a representative time at the moment from Tomek Paradzic. But this looks fun. Barry Borman though advantage.
Yep, Buraman on top, and I tell you what, he wasn't necessarily, though, the fastest man in Sector 1 and Sector 3. Sector 3 fastest time was set by that of Fabrizio Donoso, who held that from the very first flying lap we saw out on track at the start of this session. First sector went to that of Patrick Sipos. He did it with a 16.632, so he, of course, nestling in that fastest run on that occasion. We have got, obviously, Jarno Watmir, Beresnay, as well as Tom Manley as well, making their way around on their outlaps. Jarno's about to kickstart his flying lap now and is hurtling through the center S's. He's going to have plenty of clean air ahead of him. Let's ride on board here with the Flying Dutchman here for his very first flying lap here in Q3 as he now makes his way down the straight to the Retta Apostol. He has got Decidia Delago coming up next. Will cut in at the 50. Still uses all the curve on the inside as well. Takes a lot of the outset as well as Decidia Delago heading through towards Ferradura at turn 6 too. As you loop through here again, you just see him remaining tight to the inside, using all the curve on the exit once again. Down the inside as well as he makes his way towards the Pinarino at turn 9 and will then make his way up through towards turn 10 as well. Marullo corner will come up later. Again, you want to be careful. Very easy to oversteer at this portion of track. but certainly under the new handling model, the driver's given that extra little bit of confidence here at this point as they enter Sector 3, now heading through Junkow, and already Otmir showing signs of purple in that middle sector. It's looking positive here from the Dutchman. I don't think it was quite purple, a 33.747. I think it might have been purple, though. He did steal it off that of Barry Burman as he heads towards the line. Jarno Otmir, third fastest, not enough to topple Burman. Not quite the article in the final sector, but got close in the middle sector. It certainly looked tenacious. Third fastest here for the Dutchman.
It's close, isn't it? 700ths between the top three for the shootout for pole. Well, that was a really tidy lap from Jarno Otmir. Now he's definitely going to be very pleased with being up in P3 for the moment, but we'll see how it goes later on. But that's his first effort in Q3. We've got more laps beginning now, though. Tomek Paradzic, Danny Berezne and Tom Manley are all on their first timed laps so far. Danny Berezne, is he the underdog? Let's wait and see as he comes up towards the second sector split now. How is it looking for him? It's looking not too bad for the Hungarian. Let's see what he can pull out in the last couple of corners here as he flings his car through Sector 3, hugs the inside. DRS open now for the Hungarian. What has he got in the tank as he heads up towards the start-finish line here for Berezne? It's not quite enough for the moment, 1 minute 7.2, but you would imagine he's definitely got more in the tank than that. Tom Manley goes 6th fastest. 1 minute 7.158. Not a bad effort from the young man there. Let's see what he can do. Now there's definitely going to be a restart, because imagine if we had to deal with that. Borman getting a penalty, but again, we are having the lobby restart afterwards. So do not despair. Tomek Paradzic heading up towards the start-finish line now in the Ferrari. What has he got in his sparing? 1 minute 7.243. So those are the first times on the board for everybody so far. We'll just wait and see if we've got any more left to give. Wilson Hughes, I think, is going around again, but we shall see. But yes, lobby restart will happen after Q3. We now have 3 drivers who have a 5th-place grid penalty for quote-unquote illegal blocking. But I do find it hilarious that it is literally just for driving slow that the drivers get the penalty for. But a man who's moving on, though, is Fabrizio Donoso, who goes to provisional pole, the first man in the 1 minute 6s.
Yeah, stellar lap there. Purple in the final sector is 16.5. That certainly graced him with the presence at the top as well. We got Lucas Blakely making his way around now. The next laps are coming in thick and fast. We've got 4 minutes 13. The driver's going out a little earlier than what we'd probably expect generally. Wilson Hughes out on track as well, did a 16.793. Not quite as fast as what Donoso did previously, a 16.651 gave Donoso certainly a purple lap on the first sector. A 16.793 is a little bit off that, but still nonetheless looking solid in the middle sector. Does Wilson Hughes as he now makes his way through towards the start-finish line. What's it going to be here for Hughes? Goes 6th fastest. A little improvement there from the McLaren driver as he looks to try and jackknife his way up the field as well. Sheepot out on track, but unfortunately losing a little bit of time out of the first sector in towards Sector 2. But still, it's unravelling, Jack, now. We're coming down towards the final 3 minutes. Hughes now going 6th fastest in clean air. But with these final 3 minutes, this is when we start to see the tension rise. The drivers now putting on their last set of soft tyres, one last set of fresh soft tyres in order to battle for pole. Who's it going to be?
Yeah, it's tricky. What is it? Donoso. Where's he pulled that one out of on that lap? But this is the great thing about having wet sessions, is that nobody is at a tyre advantage really, because everyone's got loads of soft tyres to use. That's the beauty now. We can see how these drivers will get on. But Sipos peeling into the pit lane now. He did improve on his previous lap, but didn't move up a position because that's how close it is. 1 minute 7.051 he did on his previous lap. So now he has to try and see if he can find just less than a 1/10 of a second currently to get himself on provisional pole for the second time here at Brazil. But it's going to get very, very interesting now out on the circuit. We got drivers, fresh tyres around Brazil, and we know that this is one of the tracks with the closest pole margins we have seen in the game, or even just full stop because of how short the lap is. But Donoso, let's see if he can get himself onto pole position for the first time in his PSGL career.
We could see it. He's the only man in the 106s and looks pretty solid as well. The current time obviously being surpassed as that of Barry Burman by that of 20, I think looking at this on paper, 21 thousandths of a second, I think, faster than that of Burman. So a great lap, stellar lap there from Donoso. As we now see the rear wing of Jana Watmir's Mercedes. Shanaka Clay also out on a fast run as well. As we know, seeing all the cars make their way out onto the track. The only car that is in the pits is that of Wilson Hughes, who's obviously just set a lap out on clean air, but has made his way out onto the circuit. As we now see the cars make their way down the long straight towards the next left-hander, heading through towards Decidia de Largo. And already, so now the times will be kicking up at this point as well. Otmir, obviously one of the sole drivers out on a fast run alongside that Shanaka Clay, but more and more crossing the line now. Paragis being one of them, Blakely doing the same. So we could yet see some more. Aston Martin there pulling along to the inside. That, of course, being Donoso, who's also out on another outlap as well and has a great chance of improving again should he land a big blow on top of what he's already listed, a 106.998 to beat at this stage. Burman only a mere 21 thousandths away from the Chilean up at the top end. Blakely in third fastest as well. Otmir making his way up towards Junkao and on a slow lap. And Shanaka as well making his way towards the line too. Now he is also on more of a fast run. Obviously Otmir on a slow burner on that point, going around again. Obviously perhaps hindered by traffic as now Clay comes up towards the line now. Is he going to improve from 8th? He does go second fastest. That's not bad. Mere thousandths away, but not enough to topple Donoso up at the sharp end, and he's going again.
Yeah, it was close. I was watching Shanaka. The reason I put in is because he went purple in the middle sector, and I thought there was an epic lap in the way, but it's so close. 8 1,000ths of a second off of pole for Shanaka Clay, but there is plenty of laps still to come, and one man who's on one is Lucas Blakely. He's got a pole position already this season. Can he add another one to his tally? Heads around the second to last corner. He's 700ths up on his previous best. That would be enough, surely. Here comes the F1 Esports World Champion. Is it enough for pole? It certainly is for the moment. 1 minute 6.965 for Lucas Blakely. Tomek Paragis goes 4th fastest on that run. Tom Manley heads up to the start-finish line now, goes 7th fastest for the moment. Still more to come. Danny Beresnay is on a hell of a lap right now. What has he got left in his Haas car? Pole! Danny Beresnay has found something magical, but Barry Borman has stolen it. A 1 minute 6.886. But now here comes Jarno Watmir. What has he got in the tank as he crosses the line? 7th fastest for Jarno Watmir. Patrick Sipos has invalidated. He will not be starting on pole, so that shows the commentator's curse. But Donoso, can he steal it for the first time? No, he can't. By a couple of thousandths of a second, Donoso misses out. Only one car is left. It's Wilson Hughes, but he won't be doing it. It's another pole position for Barry Borman to add to his tally, but look at the gap at what it was. Just a couple of thousandths. Donoso on the front row. Super close between everybody there, but Barry Borman continues to add to his pole tally. He has the most pole positions of anybody in this championship and continues to add to that tally, but it's Borman on pole.
It certainly is a sensational lap from Barry Borman, but 7 thousandths away is Fabrizio Donoso Delgado, ladies and gentlemen. 2nd fastest, but front row worthy, but mere thousandths, mere hundredths separating certainly the sharp end. But Burman will surely be delighted at the fact that he is going to be starting on the front row, but not only that, on pole position. And certainly it was enough. 7 thousandths faster than Donoso, and that gave him the lap of a 1.6, well, certainly what was sensational 106.886 as well. 3rd fastest for Danny Beresnay. A grand return for the Hungarian with Lucas Blakely, the current champion in F1 Esports. 4th fastest with Shanaka Clay, another grandiose return in P5 after winning at Kota. Tomek Paragis in 6th as well. Jarno Watmir just could not improve enough. 7th fastest Patrick Sipos in 8th. Tom Manley 9th. And Wilson Hughes in 10th place. Well, there you have it. The drama is rich, certainly here in league racing. Things do not change. They do not change one bit. But nevertheless, folks, we're going to look forward to the race. We are going to have a lobby restart. But in the meantime, let's have a quick commercial break. We'll be right back. Well, welcome back, folks, and it's great to be back too. PSGL never ceases to amaze. Again, we have a situation where we're seeing some of the best in the business perform to their best as well. But it was Barry Burman who, of course, would take pole position in a sensational feat. The man, of course, who has taken the PSGL title last season, returning again to the forefront, this time ahead of the one, the only. Well, it was Fabrizio Donoso. What a tenacious character. Donoso back again, Jack. Doesn't seem like he's going away. He's improving, getting back to his 2017 best. We've spoken about him in the past, battling with Brendan Lee for that first F1 Esports title. They also fought together back in the long gone years of AOR as well, in the early years of league racing. But now here in PSGL, he has found his best form, vintage Donoso. And then not to mention, we've also got Blakely up at the sharp end too, as well as many others. It really is mouthwatering to see some of these legends return to the top. And at the same time, you've got some of the young guns also filtering their way into the top 10 as well.
Certainly do. Yeah, that was a really exciting end to qualifying, I have to say. But it's always the same guys, isn't it? It's Boremant, followed by Donoso, followed by Danny Beresnay, another man who's returning to form, which is wonderful to see. So this is going to be a really interesting race because we know pole isn't necessarily the best place to start around Brazil because you're the only one who does not have DRS compared to everyone else once the DRS becomes enabled. So the first 3 laps around here is going to be a case, provided Borman gets a clean start, he's going to be pushing super hard to try and break that DRS and try and control the race from there. If you can't do that, it's going to be, again, almost like a cycling train. It's going to be swap, swap, swap around because most of the times we've seen races around here, you know, we've gone to the final lap, but it's the driver in second who will end up taking the win in the end. So it's an interesting one to see. But so statistically wise, so far, you know, you might favour Borman to win from pole. But I'm going to give you a scuffed statistic because of this season has been
I like
a little
scuff,
bit
Jack.
weird.
Scuff is still a statistic. I like it.
Statistically wise, the man who there's been more wins from 17th this season than there has been from pole. So technically speaking, Josh Ito is the statistical favourite from this season to win this race. But that's only because we've had 2 races that were so stupid with the way that was whatever that was going on. But yeah, so let's see. Josh Ito might surprise us. He could come from 17th. We can't rule out now.
Well, no, I mean, look, hey, I mean, you wouldn't write off any of these guys. And we've seen what strategies can do, Jack. We have seen what the odd overcut, what the odd undercut can do. We had a winner in Jake Benham, who we did not expect, of course, take victory at Zandvoort. So, hey, you know, I'm open to it. Let's have the scuff statistic. I want to see it. Let's wait and see. Obviously, up at the sharp end, though, you cannot deny that Burman is still at his level best form. Some shockers, though, we'll go back to it at Q1. Alfa Romeo not finding either driver through to Q2, let alone Q3. You know, what have they got to do at this point? You know, certainly try and harness their best form. Ronha, a former championship contender here at PSGL, of course, went toe-to-toe with Barry Burman last season, and they've got a double world champion in Brendan Lee, who has unfortunately not made it into Q2 or Q3, which is very unlike him if you consider his, you know, recent form over recent years was up there with the likes of Donoso in terms of getting back to his previous best form. But it seems here at Brazil, they came a little unstuck.
Yeah, it seems so. It was they didn't look like they got their second intermediate run together at all between Brendan Lee and Thomas Ronnar. So it's interesting to see how this is going to work. You know, Ronnar won here last season. It was his first PSGL win after a long drought since he started, but took his first win here last time out. It didn't start on pole, though. That was Patrick Sipos, of course. But yeah, it seems a bit strange considering both of them didn't get through. So whatever happened to Brendan obviously happened to Thomas as well. You've also got Danny Moreno who's going to be starting last as well, which is going to be interesting to see how he gets on from there. But it's an interesting dynamic. The thing is, though, they are starting on the same row of the grid, so watch out for them. They're going to try something different strategy-wise. They might go aggressive early on, try and gain track position by going maybe softer on the compounds, or they might try the long game. They might go hards and go all the way, go as long as they can, and then hope for a safety car towards the end. But you can expect them to try something different to the rest of the grid. So I'm expecting big moves from the Alfa Romeos early on.
Yeah, I think so. So you've got to sit tight, folks. I think we were going back to those issues, obviously, from Q2. If you started further down, obviously you might choose a different strat heading into the race, maybe go with a little bit longer, maybe draft in a little shorter, maybe try and attack the field in the opening stint on the softer tyres, then maybe pit onto something a little different later on. We'll have to wait and see, but we haven't even consider the fact that we could have other race-altering moments as well. Obviously, we have had things like that happen in PSGL in the past, whether it be safety cars, whether it be anything like of that nature. Obviously, here, once again, we could see those come into fact here at Brazil. It certainly isn't unheard of. But certainly here at the front end, having the likes of Blakely up at the forefront, Blakely, Donoso, Berejne, Buraman, that sounds like an all-star top 4 to me, Jack. Who is going to get the better launch? You know, I would definitely not count out Berejne at this point.
No, absolutely not. Berejne is finding his pace again, and he's consistently up inside the top 5 now. The one thing he hasn't had is either a clean race or a clean qualifying the past 2 times. So now he's had a really good qualifying, starting P3. You know, he's definitely going to be going for that win, as will Donoso. Remember, Donoso's famous victory came off the back of the iconic Jarno headphone smash moment. If you remember back to Austria a couple of seasons ago between Danny Moreno and Jarno Wotmir. Nobody remembers who won that race, but it was actually Fabrizio Donoso who overtook the both of them going up the inside.
Correct.
Turn 3. So that was, again, both times, actually, there's been a collision on the final lap at Austria, and the man in 3rd has won the race. It happened last season. Go watch if you haven't. It was Barry Borman who was 3rd at the beginning of lap 1. He was the winner by the end of it. So interesting statistics all the way around. But yeah, Donoso will be trying to get that back on the top step again. Starts 2nd. Probably a good position for him to be in. Does leave him on the outside of turn 1. But if you do get a good start, turn 1 does open up enough, you know, gives you the inside for the second part of the corner, so it's not impossible to, again, get a good launch from the outside, try and swing it around, because we've seen plenty of overtakes around the outside of turn 1 here at Brazil. So we can wait and see for that. We've got, of course, Blakely starting in 4th as well, going to be trying to manage stuff from there. Wotmir starting 7th this time, much better qualifying from him, probably didn't just get the lap together in the end from him. Towards the end of qualifying there. Patrick Sipos as well. He'll probably be disappointed. Of course, he was on pole last season. Didn't probably hook it up towards the end. He invalidated his final run, actually, so we won't actually know what he managed to do. And we have different guys. We've got Josh Ito coming from 17th down the back. Brendan Lee, Thomas Ron are 18th and 19th. And we also have, I mean, let's not forget Jake Benham, championship leader. You know, he's starting P11, P12. So watch out for Jake, because we saw what he did last week. Let's watch him.
I would definitely not write off the All-Star, Jack. He is definitely one to watch. I can't wait to see what he does. Certainly can bounce back, certainly here in a better state than what he did before. Obviously, still is able to challenge. I definitely would not write off Jake Benham here this time. We will be getting started very shortly, folks. This might be a good opportunity as well to obviously ask you to check out the socials. Obviously, don't forget as well to subscribe to the PSGL YouTube channel. If you want to stay up to date with when we go live here on this channel, then I highly recommend hitting that subscribe button, because then you will know when we go live. You will get a notification live on YouTube. Of course, the PCF1 Championship goes live every Wednesday at 7 o'clock local time here in the UK. But if you're in Europe, obviously that's an hour onwards, so it would be 8 o'clock for you guys as well. If you want to as well, check out the social medias, Premier Sim GL on Twitter, Instagram, and now Threads as well. If you guys obviously are checking out Threads, I'm on there too. Of course, you can see my link down below at George Morgan TV. It's the same wherever you go. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, as well as Threads as well. You just can't miss it. You might as well share yours as well, Jack, seeing as we're at this point. We're just waiting for this lobby to load. Come on, share it. Hit us up. Where can they find the great Canal?
Beautiful graphics down below. You can find us down here. But at Jack C Comes on Twitter if you want to find me there. At Jack_Canan on Instagram if you want to find me there as well. The reason this is taking a little bit longer, ladies and gentlemen, is that Dylan Warren is our lobby host tonight, and he's got the unenviable task of having to set the grid for this, making sure that everybody's correct. And you can imagine what that's like when you have 19 drivers shouting at you at the one time about the weather, about the lobby settings, how everything's wrong, why am I in the wrong grid slot. You can imagine. So can we get some love for Dylan? Dylan Warren.
Respect for Dylan in the chat, ladies and gentlemen, because at the end of the day,
Dylan Warren,
you know, it's a lot of work to put a lobby together, and Dylan Warren has taken it upon himself to run the lobby tonight and make sure that all the drivers get in. So give him credit. It all goes down to Dylan Warren. So big thank you to Dylan Warren for that. Whether he wins or gets a podium tonight or not, I want to give him credit for that. So there we go. Dub for Dylan here at this point. Right, we have got certainly the timer ticking down soon, folks. The drivers are readying up. We're looking forward to this one. It's going to be good. Can't wait. Obviously, as I said, Premier Sim Gaming League's giving you the very best certainly where it comes to F1 Esports League racing. Certainly the litmus test for F1 Esports as well. Many of these drivers will go on to challenge for the F1 Esports crown, as many of them have done in the past, including the likes of Jarno Watmir, who has won it 3 times consecutively. Is still looking to try and bounce back, though, and take another victory. Though every time he has certainly contested in the world of PSGL, he has come out an F1 Esports champion. The same can be said as well for Lucas Blakely. Could it be Barry Burman this year? We'll have to find out. The timer ticking down now with 4 seconds still to go, folks. And we're going to be bringing you the racing live here on PSGL. It's going to be special. Let us know who's going to win the race. I want to hear from you guys in the live chat. Jack, over to you. Who's it going to be?
Oh, this is probably the toughest one to call so far of who's going to win this race. I've been wrong on both occasions because both drivers have come from 17th on the grid. But I am going to go with Danny Berezne, I think, today.
Oosh, Danny Berezne playing hardball, Jack, in that. I think you're in with a chance. I do like Berezne at the moment. He's looking pretty good. I will say this about Berezne. His race pace is fantastic. Very rarely do we see him secure something massive in quali, but he has this time, and it does give him an opportunity to perform up at the sharp end. So do not count out Berezne, as now we're waiting to see what happens with the grid. Now, I'm not sure if we're running with the formation lap today or not.
We are not. We are not.
We better head across to the game screen then, folks, because the timer is going to tick down very soon enough, because we know how it works. It does kick off with a bang when we don't have the formation lap. There is the view from the pit lane as we await to see the drivers go racing here at Brazil. Of course, we've seen many of them certainly take the helm here. We've had 3 separate winners since coming here in the past. You can add Carrot onto the list as well, of course, winning back in season 27 in the very first season of PSGL here on the PC Championship. But we've certainly had other tenacious characters take the top end as well, including that of Thomas Ronha, who took victory last season here at Brazil too. But not to mention many others up at the sharp end, including that of Danny Berezne, as now the lights here get all set here at Interlagos. Here we go. And it's pedal to the metal. And it is go, 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 go. And certainly Barry Burman getting away well, as does Fabrizio Donoso. They head through. It's Orza Cenaresses. Donoso leads. Donoso leads from the get-go here. Berezne as well in 3rd place. Around the outside, we're seeing further back. Jarno Watmir putting the squeeze on. Already 3 wide near enough as they head down now out of Retta Aposta into Decidia de Lago. It's Donoso in front, closely followed by Danny Berezne and Barry Burman, who are in behind and looking to give chase. Berezne getting a very good start, holds his position ahead of Lucas Blakely, but Donoso careering away, and he's building a gap, Jack.
Yeah, split strategies across the top 5. Donoso starting on the soft compound tyre. Barry's on the hards, as is Danny Berezne. He's on the soft compound tyre. Lucas Blakely gone hards, and Shanika Clay is on the medium tyre, trying to look up the inside of the McLaren. Now you've got Jarno as well on soft. Sipos, Ben and Manley, Paraji, they're all on differing strategies. So interesting stuff across the board, but the soft runners getting away well, and Donoso will now try and use those softs. He's already nearly broken DRS. Great stuff from the Chilean so far, but Berezne, he needs to get a move on here. He needs to get by Burman, who won't have the tyres early on. Donoso is well and clear, but here comes Danny Berezne around the outside of turn 1. He's clear before they get to the corner. Lucas Blakely will try to get through on the inside of Burman. Nearly hits into his old teammate in towards turn 1. This is a man he won't want to let through. These two are on the same strategy. Opmir's trying to get through at the same time. It's all stacking up here at Brazil, but all this is allowing Donoso to get away up the front as they fight for position behind. This is exactly what the Chilean needed.
Yeah, a rocket of a start, certainly. They're all battling out on the track right now. There is Opmir right in behind that of the current F1 Esports champion Lucas Blakely. You don't make moves around there, Jarno Opmir heading through now. The blistering Ferragera, the 2 champions collide. Opmir now moves up into 4th place. Incredible maneuver. You rarely see it like that. But the Flying Dutchman showing his true colours, his true pace here at Brazil.
That was confidence, wasn't it? Great stuff from Lucas Blakely. Left him the room to work with and nothing more. So now here he comes on the move now. He's on the soft compound tyre, trying to not let Danny Berezne and Cole get away up front. So now he's got to attack on Barry Burman on the hard tyres. Barry won't fight this one too hard. Won't make it too easy, but here comes Jarno Watmir now. Outside line. Will get himself by the Iranian driver through into 3rd place, and Burman now settled in behind, and while not letting Lucas Blakely get through at the same time. Shanaka Clay will lose the rear end towards turn 1. He gets hit in the rear, I think. Did he get a helping hand from Jake Benjamin towards turn 1 as they came through there? Just caught the tail end of that instant, but they carry on. Shanaka Clay carries on but loses the place to Tom Manley. It's all stacking up behind now. Benham on the soft tyres trying to get through past everybody here. Gets up the inside of Paradzic and will hang on to that position for the moment. So very, very hectic start, but one man who made a lot of moves and a great few moves, Danny Moreno, started last, is 14th now on the softs, trying to make headway through the order. Brendan Lee as well trying to make hay while the sun shines on the softs as well, all stacking up behind the soft runners trying to get through past all of the hard runners, all of the medium runners as well. But a hectic start. The soft runners are clear out front now, but Danny Beresday, he's done good work, hasn't he? Back in DRS of Donoso.
Yeah, he certainly has done. Look at Caraton as well, swarming all over the back of Marcel Kiefer. Needs to as well, because he's on soft tyres, and Kiefer basically a great wall in front of the Mercedes-powered Williams. Of course, everything's set to equal performance. We've had the tyre deg issue fixed as well, as now we see once again Caraton, former race winner here back in season 27, not quite close enough, lacking that little bit of straight line speed that he would need to tackle that of Marcel Kiefer as they head through the next section, but will pay for it as he makes his way heading through the centre S's. They make their way now through towards the next left, heading in towards Retta Aposta. There you see the cars coming together yet again, and a little move to the outside now as we see Brendan Lee also looking to try and show his way around as well, right in behind that of Danny Moreno, the machine, of course, driving the Aston Martin here today, but we all know that he has signed up with McLaren for the brand new season and certainly showed his pace at Zandvoort. Jack, he was tenacious, but the strategy just fell apart towards the end due to the rain.
Yeah, he did. He put on a great display last time out at Zandvoort. Again, like I said, strategy, safety cars didn't work for him, so now he's got to try and make his way through. Brendan Lee send him onto the inside of Moreno at the same time, but that corner doesn't really work as they come through there. You got Thomas Ronner behind on the hard tyres, Edo as well. All those guys are on the hard tyres. They're going long into this race. So this is what we miss, George, isn't it? Look at the different tyres. We used to have everybody on the same tyre last time out in the previous game. Now we've got almost a rainbow of tyres to try to keep up with here, and that is what is creating this brilliant sequence of racing through here in Brazil as they settle through. But you've got the top two. Donoso leads, Danny Beresday second on the softs. Jarno Wotmir just hanging outside of DRS at the moment, having to work hard to try to get in but can't quite do it. But he has Boermans and Blakely on the hards just behind him. Then Tom Manley running an excellent 6th place at the moment on the mediums, as is Shanaka Clay. But seems like the soft runners like Caraton, Moreno, Brendan Lee, they're now starting to get stuck. They were making good progress earlier, but they're not seeming to be able to make the same sort of moves they were earlier on. But Moreno is threatening Caraton at the same time. But yeah, not looking like the moves are as easy as they were early on.
Yeah, certainly Jed Norgrove very close to the back of Wilson Hughes as well. These two have been cemented together, pretty much nose to tail, rear wing of the McLaren towards that front wing of the Red Bull. Looking to give Norgrove wings here as well as it climbs up through the Marullo corner. Junkau coming up next as well, tight to the apex as he makes his way through medium tyres against hards at this point. But of course unable to get past that of Wilson Hughes, and it's a wonder whether it's to do with maybe that he does not want to break out of the slipstream, maybe trying to hold position, knows that eventually we'll have to make the move. We have got some side-by-side action incidentally though further down as Caraton now goes around the outside here, this time of Marcel Kiefer, fed up of waiting, fed up of watching, goes deep though, Kiefer goes off, incredible, Moreno takes the pair, brilliant instinctive manoeuvre there from Danny Moreno, the machine is back as now Kiefer looks to strike, a battle further up as well as Jed Norgrove, down the inside there of Wilson Hughes heading through to City of Delago, the Red Bull ascends into the top 10, cracking move.
That was beautiful from Danny Moreno. Watch the two of them front fight it out. Lovely switchback and got it done around the outside of 2 cars. Brendan Lee got his way through at the same time as well, so he's up to P12. Follows Moreno through there as well, but looks like it's getting tight up towards the top end as well. Donoso following Beresday very closely. Wotmir now under pressure, it seems like, from Boermans, from Blakely, from Tom Manley at the same time, as well as they come up to the start-finish line now. And now it looks like Boermans might have to pounce, but he's got to watch his mirrors because Blakely is watching and waiting here. This could go 3 abreast. Is Blakely going to shoot the middle here as they go towards turn number 1? The two of them manage to get by. Jarno Wotmir. Wotmir is not having it. Tries to fight it on the inside. Turning to the outside, but Blakely gets through. Boermans gets through at the same time. He hasn't got the ERS. And here comes a young Tom Manley into the fight as well. outside line on the medium tyres. Has a lot of overspeed here. Can he get his way through on the inside? Blakely showing us in the mirrors at the same time. Opmeer trying to fight it on the inside here. Manley trying his best here to stick around the outside of the 3-time champ. Sticks it up the inside for the next corner. Through goes Tom Manley into P5. But it's the hard runners, Blakely and Borman. It's almost as if they're teammates again, working with each other here.
Yeah, it certainly is. Manley really, really well done to get himself through. Heading down the straight to Reta Aposta, opened up the door, had the overspeed heading out to the centre S's, but a very masterfully crafted move there from Blakely as well. Really did add to the danger point when he went 3 abreast. Certainly heading into the centre S's, generally 2 is the maximum. And but sending it 3 is certainly very tricky. Luckily enough, though, they were very sensible to back out the way they did, and certainly Barry Burman managing to elevate himself higher. Another man who's looking to elevate, though, is that of Lucas Blakely, who will make the move this time on Barry Burman as they look to go abreast. The former teammates come together, and it's Blakely now into P3, and now looks to give chase on that of Danny Berejday. And the Hards now are starting to come into their groove now, Jack. They're finding their way forward, and they've now broken into DRS of Danny Berejday as well. It can't be long now as we're seeing Burman again fight back against his former teammate. Brilliant to watch, stellar to see. It's Barry Burman back into P3.
Yeah, 2 former PSGL champs as well, fighting with each other as they come through. Shanika Clay having a little think about a move on Opmeer at the same time, wasn't quite able to find a space here, but these two now swapping places, and now Borman is within DRS of Berezne and Dunos up front. So the soft starting to go off, the hards coming into effect, and Tom Manley's in the mix too. Let's not count out Tom Manley here on the medium tyres, just behind here as well. Shanika Clay also on the mediums, Jed Norgrove on the mediums as well. So good progress being made by those on those tyres as well. So now they get on to the next lap, lap 9 of 36. This race will go by very quickly, but I do like the fact that it's Borman versus Blakely currently up on those hard tyres. Now, is there going to be any moves made? No, as they come up towards turn 1. Blakely actually closing the DRS there as Shanika Clay round the outside of Opmeer into turn 1. Does he get it stopped? Just about he does. In towards turn 1, the rear end squirming as he gets back on the throttle, heading round the second corner into turn number 3 there. Opmeer might come back at him here as they come down into the next corner. No, it's almost bump drafts him down towards turn 4 and 5, and Shanika Clay moves into P6. So further struggles for those two, but still, despite all of this, Donoso still in the lead and controlling it very well.
Yeah, and not many breaching the DRS too much either. The only car that's outside of anybody is Patrick Sheepos, and that's because he's actually boxed. He's the only car that has come in for a tyre change, has actually switched on to the hards after boxing on only 2-lap-old soft tyres. So incidentally, the only car that has come into the pits, but it has already been out on track 6 laps on that current hard compound. It's just sitting there again, Blakely pushing around his former teammate. Great to see this storyline developing, and looking behind as well, Tom Manley, who is right in behind a pair of them as well as we see them come together. Tom Manley might be the danger man here as he looks to try and tackle as he makes his way through. Still not enough to find it though, as Burman still holds on to 3rd place. It looked for certainly for one moment, that they were very close together, that Manley might have had the overspeed heading out of Junkau and had the chance heading through Archibancadas, but it wasn't to be. But a great show of tenacity from the young man. He certainly does have some real racecraft talent.
Yeah, it was almost like a show in the mirrors. It's like, hi guys, I'm here too. We got to watch your mirrors as he came out of the second to last corner there. But great stuff from Tom Manley. He's got great pace today, and he's bringing Shanika Clay with them as well, not too far behind, and now has the chance to sit behind these guys. It's exactly what he wants. But now the hards have certainly caught up to these top 2 soft runners. There's the first time penalty. Marcel Kiefer running in 16. Brendan Lee has made good progress. Ronar not really making progress here. He's managed to clear Josh Edo and is now challenging Marcel Kiefer. There's the move made on Kiefer. So that's 16th for Ronar, so we've got to keep our eyes out later on. All those guys are on the hards. Started on those hard tyres further down. Here comes Borman on Berezne. Nothing that Berezne can do about this. He's going to try fight back with the ERS as well, and he has DRS. Let's watch out for cars behind as well. Borman, will he get clear of Berezne in towards turn 1? Yes, he does, and puts a car between himself and Blakely for the moment. Good move made, and he might try and clear, but Donoso at the same time. But I'll tell you what, Berezne is not pushing at all. He's almost got full charge of ERS here, has got Berezne, so he's happy to sit behind, but Blakely is not happy sitting behind, puts it up the inside, and Berezne opens the door and says, you go right ahead. He's been saving ERS, almost has a full charge.
Yeah, I think he's playing a very cautious game, Jack. I don't think he's on the attack at all. I don't think he's concerned with Donoso up at the front end. He is sitting patiently and waiting. And I think there must be some tyre conservation going on here. He might want to switch onto the mediums later on. Who knows? It might be a case that I'm going to save my ERS, I'm going to save my tyres, I've got the slipstream, I've got the DRS. There's nothing I need to do. There's nothing I need to worry about. Donoso's going to be the one under pressure because now Buraman on his hard tyres that he can certainly extend throughout this race for as long as possible. He's obviously going to be jettisoning onto the softs later on. He's going to be in the thick of it. But naturally for Berezne, he can drive a cautious race. Blakely in behind though, however, is going to look to try and hit Buraman hard this time. The two former teammates together again as Berezne looks to this time just wait in the wings. He might though seek a challenge heading down through Retro-Aposta. Can he get the overspeed? Heading out of the center S's, just barely stays within the white line as well on exit as he makes his way down the next straight. Will he challenge? Will he bring the hammer down on his former teammate and comrade? Not this time. The top three remain the same. It's Donoso in front, Buraman second, Blakely in third with Berezne in fourth. A mouth-watering top four with a young upstart in Tom Manley who's going to look to make a difference and make a change into the, shall we say, upper generation of what we consider to be top PSGL drivers. A stellar showing from the young man.
Barring the pit stop, the whole field is in a train. There's still 19 cars are still within DRS of each other, so the only car that doesn't have DRS at the moment is Donoso. Lap 12 of 36, and the whole field is still clumped up together in the final sector, apart from Patrick Sipos. So let's watch and see what happens, because the mix of strategies here is fascinating as they come up to start lap 13 of 36. Will this be the time for Buraman to get through now as he heads up towards turn one? But Donoso just getting away from there, but now DRS open. Nothing Donoso can do about this one. Buraman to the inside, and he will take the lead, and Blakely will try to follow through at the same time. Gets the squeeze put on him by Donoso into turn one, into turn two. Gets another squeeze put on Blakely out wide. Here comes Danny Berezne. He fancies a chance now. He's on the curb. He will have DRS to try and get through, but will not waste his ERS just yet. But Buraman, big move made there, got by Donoso, but Donoso, tell you what, he was not letting Blakely through too easy there.
A very high IQ game being played here by Danny Berezne. You've got to wonder what the Hungarian's thinking. He had the prime opportunity there to overtake Lucas Blakely, but opted against it. Does have Tom Manley though breathing down his neck. Just look at the AlphaTauri. He might have other ideas on his mind. He is on the medium tyres, can go longer than Berezne on those softs. But interesting to note, though, that those softs on the car of Lucas Blakely haven't yet deterred him from challenging up at the sharp end. But he is not too worried about that right now. Remains in fourth place and is just watching every move the top three make. Of course, Donoso falling foul to that of Buraman earlier on, and it looks like he might fall foul to Blakely, who will need to make this move. It is absolutely essential if he wants to try and stay on hand and in tow of that of Barry Buraman. Isn't close enough, though. And incidentally enough, Donoso close enough to the back of Buraman as they head down in towards turn one. Might choose to open the door yet again and challenge the Ferrari, the Scuderia. Of course, Donoso's former team as well, when he went and certainly teammated up with former championship contender Brendan Lee from 2017 when the two of them came together. And now we're seeing Donoso hanging in behind Buraman. He's using the DRS as a defence against the current F1 Esports champion. This is sensational to watch as Blakely breathes down his neck.
Yeah, it's all tactical here. Donoso didn't fight him too hard, but the DRS is so powerful on this game. You could see how far he came back from and closed right back up to Barry here, so there is plenty to keep your eyes on here. While that happened, Tom Manley came into the pit lane. Jake Benham has also pitted as well. There was a double stack at AlphaTauri. I'm not sure if that was actually intended, but Tom Manley onto the hards right now. He was the first to come out of this train, started on the mediums, so interesting stuff here. He's trying to go for a big undercut here. Let's see if it works for him, because it could work out for him. But now as they come out of the final corner to begin another lap 15 of 36, Buraman still in the lead, but now you'll see Donoso peeling to the left-hand side. He's going to respond to Tom Manley's pit stop here, needs to. Gets it all crossed up on the brakes there as he came into the pit lane. Opmir pits as well, as does. We've got more and more cars in here. We've got Jed Norgrove in as well. Brendan Lee is in the pits. and Dylan Warren is also in the pits as well at the same time. So that now means Barry Borman leads the race, Lucas Blakely in second, Danny Beresnay, who started on the softs, is still in P3 and in the management phase at the moment, Shanika Clay in P4. So now, where does this cycle everyone out? Tom Manley is the car we need to keep our eyes on here. He's been in the pits trying to undercut these guys. They're coming up towards this next part of the corner now, onto the straight. Does he manage to get out in front of Donoso? Just about. Yes, he does. So Manley undercuts Fabrizio Donoso, and that is realistically for P3 in this race.
And I don't think you'd be too upset if Donoso passes him either, Jack. He can utilise the DRS off the Aston Martin as well. So a fantastic strategy call from Jed Norgrove. Let's see if that will push him further and further up the field as well. Remember, Donoso was certainly P2 on entry into the pit lane. Obviously, we've currently got Burman out in front at this stage as well. Shanaka Clay getting closer as well to the top three that are currently out on track. And into the pits comes Danny Beresnay as well. So this again will be interesting. Will Nordgrove's tactics, well, hold on to his placement? Will he go ahead of Danny Beresnay? Let's wait and see. Obviously, boxing earlier on onto that hard compounded tyre. Here comes Norgrove. I think he will confidently and securely get himself past, as we see as well Donoso coming together this time with that, and does go past that of Tom Manley as they make their way through in towards the centre S's. There is Beresnay on the escape from the pit lane. There's Donoso. Where are they going to filter out? Through they go. It's going to be smooth as you like. Beresnay has got it all to do, and certainly Tom Manley and Jarno Opmeer have gone ahead of him here.
Yeah, Opmeer now is trying to get by Tom Manley as well. He's managed to work his way in there. Brendan Lee's in the fight now, though, because he pitted and has come out behind Danny Beresnay with that pit stop as well. So good work from Brendan Lee. He's now on the mediums. We'll see what he's going to be able to do later on in this race. But Opmeer now on the back of Manley on the mediums as well. Manley opting for the hard compound tyres, they're going differently. But Donoso now trying to get away, and Opmeer needs to try and get in front of Tom Manley here as quickly as possible and avoid the charge of Danny Beresnay just behind. The top two still out in front though. Shanika Clay pits from what was third place on those tyres. One man who's carrying on the softs though, the machine, Danny Moreno, still out there on those soft tyres. And remember, he started P20s. He's got to try something totally different as Opmeer manages to get in front of Manley as they came down the pit straight, and he's now chasing after Fabrizio Donoso's Brendan Lee. Fastest lap of the race so far, but we're watching to see where does Shanika Clay filter out. He's going to come out behind these guys, you would wager, and out behind Jed Norgrove by just a couple of car lengths, but he will cycle out in front of Jake Benham and that battle behind, so he won't be too displeased with that. But undercut quite powerful, as you can see, because Brendan Lee's made it work very nicely.
He has, and he's got past Danny Beresnay as well. He did that heading down the home straight while collecting the fastest lap of the race. So Brendan Lee starting to make a charge. The strategy working out for the former two-time F1 Esports champion. Of course, was teammated with Danny Beresnay when they had their successful season back in 2018. Of course, the following season would see the likes of David Tinitza lift it for the one and only time for Ferrari. Of course, Barry Burman is going to look to bring them back yet another title, as well as the likes of Nicolas Longuet, who is, of course, joining his friend as well and colleague, as now we're seeing more fighting up at the sharp end. Wilson Hughes coming into the pits as well. Danny Moreno finally getting off those soft tyres. A very lengthy stint out on those as well. As we're seeing as well, Lucas Blakely come together as well with Barry Burman as they look to perhaps swap for the lead here. Will they make that swap? No. A Ferrari sandwich here for the McLaren. Burman takes them through as they circulate through Decidia Del Lago. There in behind, there is the McLaren of Lucas Blakely with Paragic in behind as well. So the top seven, the only cars still yet to box. Donoso now sat in 8th place. 3 laps on those medium tyres, only 8.2 seconds behind Istvan Pukki, Jack. The strategy might work for Donoso here.
Yeah, he's got clean air. That's the crucial thing here, is Donoso with clean air, with Opmeer behind him, Tom Manley in that position there. But Brendan Lee, he'll be delighted with that strategy that's worked out for him. He's managed to get out in front of Beresnay, but Beresnay's biding his time. Still has that full charge of ERS. Brendan's had to work very hard with that car to get up to where he is, and that battery is almost depleted on that Alfa Romeo. So still, we're now halfway through this race, and we're seeing now Tomek Paragic is going to pit, and now Lucas Blakely is going to swap with Barry Bourmand up at the front, and he'll now take the lead for the first time here in Brazil, with leaving now. The only other car now, there's a couple of more cars still pitting. Thomas Pradžić comes in, so now the other car that hasn't pitted now, Thomas Ronar. Quiet race so far, P3. Marcel Kiefer following behind as Beresne sets the fastest lap of the race so far for the moment, as he chases down Brendan Lee and tries to get in front of him here to get himself up further up the order. But this is going to be a fascinating end. What I can't wait now is Blakely and Bourmand clearly working together right now. But I can tell you, once those fresh tyres go on, it's gloves off.
It certainly is. Literally after the pit stop phase, folks, that's when we can expect some of the drivers sending it here towards the latter stages of this race. Brendan Lee just getting out of the dirty air of Tom Manley as well. As we're just seeing them come to nose to tail as they now loop through the next right before dipping into the Pinarino at turn 9 as well. And they've got another right-hander to take, which again is a loop section. Very technical and twisting here at Interlagos. Just look at Danny Beresne as well, who is right in behind that of Brendan Lee, as they now make their way up the hill before reaching Junkau at turn 12 as well. Here to be right on board with Brendan Lee, right on the tail there of Tom Manley as well, who escalated that really superb strategy, but is now seeing himself dropping further and further as Blakely comes into the pits. Opportunity here now for Brendan Lee to make a move here and utilise the overtake that he is using. But look at Beresne! Inside from Beresne! Absolutely sensational from the Hungarian! We saw it late, we didn't expect it. Brendan Lee caught napping by the Hungarian and former teammate. He's now chasing yet again, goes ahead of Jed Norgrove, or Tom Manley, sorry, gets himself higher and higher. Beresne, 6th place here in this field. The unlikely saviour here in this race as well. The Hungarian sensation. It's Danny Beresne, 6th place, sorry.
Yeah, that's why he saved his ERS. He had more charge than the two of them in front and used it to good effect in towards turn 1. Swapped back on the inside and got by down the straight on Tom Manley. Now he can get after Otmir and Donoso. Let's wait and see. But Blakely has been into the pits and has come out conveniently just in front of his teammate, but has run very wide there on the cold tyres. But of course, the benefit is he's got his teammate right behind him in the form of Wilson Hughes. But that mistake, will that have cost him? Barry Bourmand peels into the pit lane now for a fresh set of boots. Thomas Ronar is also in the pits now. Marcel Kiefer is also going to cycle through now, which will mean Donoso leads this race. Jarno Otmir is now P2. Danny Beresne in P3 as they all cycle through now. But it's going to be now Barry versus Lucas. Is going to be the battle sort of to watch where they're going to cycle out. He's definitely going to come out behind him, but the question is by how far as they come down into the next braking zone by quite some margin. As you can see, Wilson Hughes is also now going to be behind his teammate and can now try and keep Barry Bourmand behind him for the next while. But 1.7 seconds between those two. So Blakely with a lovely undercut, it has to be said, on them.
Yeah, it certainly has done as well. Dylan Moran going side by side with Jed Norgrove, heading through the very tight section, very fast pace. We saw Otmir do this earlier on, but Dylan Moran not able to make it happen. Still Jed Norgrove holding on to 8th. Warren now in 9th. Caraton down in 10th place, watching all this happen too. As now we see the cars make their way through the latter sector here at this point on lap 21 of 36. And now heading up the hill before they reach Junkau now. Basically nip and tuck here at this point. Dylan Moran on the medium tyres against the hards here of Jed Norgrove. Finding a little bit more as now they cruise through the Archibancadas. There you can see the grandstands lit up on the right-hand side as we ride on board with Dylan Moran in the Haas car as well, utilising the overtake as he looks to try and make the move. Defensive from Jed Norgrove. Down the inside they go yet again as they chase after Jake Benham on the outset now. Look at them, it's Dylan Moran. He moves his way up into 8th. A stellar overtake, utilising that overtake as well. And he has in the car the ERS at his disposal. Here comes Alvaro Caraton, former race winner here back in season 27. It's Caraton. He moves his way through, but a switchback from Norgrove as well, putting the pressure on the Spaniard as though they loop through towards the next right at the Ferradura. But it's Caraton who holds on to 9th. What a sequence of moves heading through the first sector, Jack. And another one here from Perajic.
Perajic trying to get through on Norgrove, who's trying to desperately to try to hang on. This is his PSGL PC F1 debut. He's not going to give this one up too easily, but the fresher tyres on Perajic's Ferrari should be allowed to get through, and that's drawn in Lucas Blakely and Wilson Hughes now in the DRS. Big task ahead, you have to say, for Lucas Blakely. He's got to try and make his way through all of this traffic. Bourmand is also outside of DRS of these guys as well, so he's going to have a lot of work to do. But now Blakely, fresh mediums, what can he do? He's got the DRS open. He's got to clear these cars as quickly as possible. Norgrove will not make this easy for him up towards turn 1. Here comes Blakely with the fastest lap of the race, has the tyres to dive it down the inside into turn 1. That's P11, but a lot of cars still to make his way through, and there's a 2-second gap from Shanika Clay up to Brendan Lee, who, it has to be said, George, has come from 18th, P5 now, and is in the lead train for the moment, but will he have the tyres at the end?
That's the big question. Certainly it is. And Tom Manley on the hards as well. Obviously, the longer he stays there, the better, as well as Blakely now goes hunting again. 10th place, ahead of Caraton, at least for now, and now chasing after Tomek Paragic. Just look at Paragic as well. A late lunge there for the Polish driver. Very late indeed. And that certainly will not be oh no, that's oh goodness me, a big tie-up there between Dylan Warren and that of Tomek Paragic as well. They came together. It was a late lunge for Paragic. Probably a bit overzealous as well, allowing Blakely to go through into P8 as well. Oh, there's going to be some words afterwards, Jack.
There is, but Blakely won't be saying any of them. He's going to be saying thank you is the words he's going to be saying, because he's managed to clear 3 cars with ease there. So now he's up behind Jake Benham, who was in the middle of that foray as well as they come down towards turn 1. Caraton was the beneficiary. Now here comes the big lunge from Blakely on the inside of the turn 1. That's P7 for Lucas Blakely now as he continues to go through. That's Dylan Warren out of the race. He's retired in the pit lane, so they will carry on for the moment. But we always wince a little bit when we see the caution flag come out, because we think there's going to be a safety car on the horizon. But Lucas Blakely now, he needs to get clear of Shanika Clay as quickly as possible, because he's got a 2-second gap to bridge then to get up to the lead train, and it's still Fabrizio Donoso who's in the lead of this race. Jarno Otmir in P2, Danny Beresnay in P3, Tom Manley hanging on there in P4 on the hards, and Brendan Lee in P5. What a star-studded top 5 that is, I have to say.
Yeah, it is, and I can't wait to see what it's going to deliver, because we are on lap 24 of 36, 12 laps, 13 including this one. We're going to be in for a real treat. Shanaka Clay, though, is not going to be in for a treat. He's going to be in for something very, very tough indeed, because Blakely now is hunting, and he's fast on those medium tyres, utilising the DRS, utilising the ERS. It's Blakely who moves himself up into 6th place, and now he's looking to launch forward and challenge that of Brendan Lee as well. Wilson Hughes also moving on up as well in the McLaren. They go up in tandem. He's ahead of Alvaro Caraton. Double points on the precipice. We got a battle for the lead. Jarno Otmir as well, tussling with Donoso, unable to execute the move, but threatening the Chilean up at the sharp end, and Beresnay not far behind either.
Yeah, Jarno had the lead for about 3 corners, and Donoso said no and went straight back to the lead again. So there's a little bit of swapping going on here. They know that Blakely is coming. He made the move past Shanika Clay, but now Blakely is danger man. He's in DRS now of the cars in front. Barry is not making progress, as much progress as he would have wanted. He's stuck behind the McLaren of Wilson Hughes. He's got Jake Benham in front. He's got Shanika Clay in front as well. So now you got to think 5 lap fresher tyres on Lucas Blakely's car. Surely now he's got to try his best here. He's got the tyre life to try and get through this train of cars in front, but again, this is not going to be easy. 10 laps to go in this race, and it's Blakely on the charge, trying to get himself back on the top step, but Donoso, who's been almost flawless this whole race, started on pole position. Not in pole position, Barry Borman started on pole position, started on the front row, is P2 now, now starts to try to get after his first race win in a couple of seasons, but Blakely is closing, and Manley's on the defensive, but the tyre life of the McLaren slides in wide. Manley not giving it up without a fight. Barry makes a move on Benham in the background as well, but Manley shoved him a little bit wide there. Blakely was very hot into the corner, but this is not going to be an easy task for the Scotsman. Manley defensive into the middle sector. Blakely's got to buy this time. He can't afford to break a front wing or anything like that. Needs to make himself needs to be smart here at the same time. Dives it up the inside of Manley, but Manley now will try to hang around the outside. Can't do it though. Blakely P5.
Yep, stellar move there from Lucas Blakely, and better late than never. Certainly he needs it now. 10 laps to go, and look at Manley. He might be vulnerable at the helm of Shanaka Clay as well. We've got some movements further up too, because in comes as well Beresnay. You can't take your eyes off anything right now. The battling is getting furious, and here comes Shanaka Clay. Look at the lay down, the smackdown here upon Tom Manley as they make their way in towards turn 1. The ZRS is lights up with 2 cars making their way through. The Williams of Shanaka Clay goes up into P6 as well, and the top 3 as well, dishing it out as well. Omnia now looking upon Fabrizio Donoso, looks down the inside, a cheeky look in the mirrors with Berejne watching from behind. A 3-car tussle up at the top end as Wilson Hughes moves up to 9th place ahead of the All-Star Jake Benham.
Yeah, now see what they're going to be asking is to hold, or what Barry needs these guys to do is hold up Lucas as much as possible. But how much can he do as he looks on Brendan Lee now, coming through sector number 2? But he's gonna try the same move again. Surely the door's going to open on the inside here. He's got the tyre life, but no, bides his time. But now it's going to be a tricky task. Borman needs to get through and dives it on Manley. Now he's clear of Tom Manley. Shanika Clay is the only car between himself and Blakely now. Borman is not out of this fight yet as he comes through. Clay getting a little bit loose on the exit of the final 2 corners there. But Blakely now will know that Borman is coming as well at the same time. He's got a lap fresher tyres. Here comes Blakely on Brendan Lee. Has he got enough of a run up towards someone? Lee goes defensive, but the extra tyre life. Can he go around the outside? Blakely will get shown the outside in towards turn 1 and turn 2. Again, these two so close. Blakely gets clear, a little bit of contact behind. Borman pounces and goes through on the inside. Now tries to get past Brendan Lee at the same time. Lee fighting Blakely with everything he's got now. Inside line for Blakely, inside line for Borman at the same time. Brendan Lee is trying everything to try to hang on to this position now. Blakely shuts the door. We're 3 abreast up towards the inside. Lee sticks it up the inside of the next part of the corner. They're still neck and neck. This is costing crucial time for Lucas Blakely and Barry Borman. Brendan Lee is the widest Alfa Romeo you will see, and Blakely and Borman are side by side through sector 2. The door will open now for Barry Borman into sector 2. Has he got the job done? Blakely's still there, but Borman has made the move this time, and Brendan Lee was the catalyst.
He certainly was. Barry Borman lunging on the opportunity, absolutely blistering, intelligent driving from the rapidly fast Iranian. Of course, he was tied up with Blakely together when they battled for the title last time around. Borman going for greatness, looking for P4 at the helm of Brendan Lee, who is defended really hard here at this point during the race through the Senoreses. It's Borman who's lurching forward. He's challenging. He's ahead of Brendan Lee. He's ahead of Blakely. Blakely ahead of Brendan Lee as well. What a scrap on lap 28.
Look at the gap now up towards the guys in front. 1.8 seconds is the gap up to the top 3, so they're almost clear. So Borman and Blakely know they have to work together now to get up towards this top 3. But Brendan Lee, what a display to try and keep these guys behind. He gave it everything but couldn't keep them behind on the straights. But 3 absolute great giants of F1 esports going at it, but there's still time left in this race, and these guys have got the tyre life. Borman has got fresher tyres than Blakely. He's got a lap fresher tyres. He started on pole, of course, don't forget. Now he's trying to get himself back on the top step of the podium for his first victory this season. It's round number 4. That's never happened. As he comes around the last corner now is in DRS. Donoso, you almost have to feel for him, George. This is almost like Patrick Sipos last season. Didn't put a foot wrong, but you do not want to be in the lead, it seems, around Brazil at the moment.
No, you don't. And Otmir, just look at how much speed he managed to obtain heading out of Junkao, heading up through the long straight. Donoso is a sitting duck. They do share the same tyre life though, 15 laps apiece on those medium tyres, but Otmir has the benefit of DRS and is looking down the inside once again of Donoso, threatening in those mirrors, making sure he can see a full view of that Mercedes lighting up in behind as well. Berejne, who has not moved a muscle, is sat in 3rd place, a lap fresher than the pair of them up ahead, but look at Borman here at this point. 9-lap old medium tyres, has been sleuthing his way through the field, managing to pull off a sensational overtake on both Lucas Blakely and Brendan Lee. What a delivery here towards the very final stages of this race. It is looking tenacious. We hark back to former league races where Borman and Otmir, of course, would be at the sharp end, fighting it out for race wins on a regular basis. The rest of the esports grid came in to join the show, and now we see Donoso up at the sharp end, being peppered after by the Flying Dutchman. Jarno Otmir now looking to pull the plug on what has been a sensational lead drive from Fabrizio Donoso. The Chilean can't stop him because in comes Jarno Otmir. He leads the way, but enter Danny Berejne. 2nd place now for the Hungarian. A double swap here. Berejne up to 2nd. Jarno Otmir, your race leader here at Interlagos. But here comes Donoso, Jack.
Yeah, these guys have been saving ERS now. Here comes Danny Beresnay, inside line on Jarno Watmir, in towards turn number 4. These two, side by side, former Mercedes drivers. Now, of course, Mercedes drivers at the same time now. The return of Beresnay on the outside of Watmir in towards the next corner. Can't quite do it, though. Enter Barry Bourmand, enter Lucas Blakely. Here's the move from Bourmand on the inside of Donoso. Donoso will be left out to dry on the inside. Now the door might open for Blakely at the same time. Fresher tyres on the outside for Bourmand. Makes the move on Donoso. Blakely will try to follow his old teammate through at the same time. No way through for the moment. Donoso shuts the door. Blakely has to wait and sit behind for a moment longer. But on to lap number 32 of 36. It's been a long time coming, George, but Jarno Watmir will lead a lap here in PSGL for the moment. Blakely makes the move on Donoso, but Beresnay is sitting and waiting in the wings. The tyre life, though, it seems like Bourmand's got to have it now. Donoso not giving up and gets by Blakely again in towards turn 1. Shuts the door on the Scotsman, but Donoso is not giving up.
He's certainly not indeed, but Blakely will have that DRS once again when they hurtle their way down the next straight as well. And certainly with that, overspeed isn't able, though, to make the crucial overtake. But certainly now with a small matter of 5 laps still to go here in this race, Bourmand looks to be the favourite. He has got the tyre wear, he's got the grip, he's all over the tail of Danny Beresnay, who is a sitting duck on 16-lap-old medium tyres. Look at Barry Bourmand now, again, looks to try and slot his way through. He's touching the rear, Blakely as well, alongside Ana Donoso. The fighting has erupted here in Brazil. They touch, they come together, but Blakely's having a 4th place.
This is epic. These guys, the giants of F1 Esports, fighting it all out at the top of the order here. We have all of our F1 Esports champions except for David Tunitsa inside the top 6 here as they come across the line. But you can see, look at the gap, 0.7 of a second between Jarno Watmir and Danny Beresnay. So Bourmand needs to be careful now because Lucas Blakely is eyeing him up from behind in towards turn 1. 1/10 of a second is closing in towards the first corner now. But these guys don't have the ERS. Well, Lucas certainly doesn't have the ERS to fight at the moment. Barry in a better space right now, but Beresnay has been saving. He's got a bit more in the tank, but he will have to watch out from a charging Iranian right behind him who's desperate to get himself back on the top step of the podium for the first time this season. Blakely trying to go for his 2nd win this season, the first one that will count for points. And Otmir trying to continue his record of winning in every single season in PSGL. Beresnay trying to get himself back on the podium again for another time. Sipos is off in the final corner, but let's not keep our eyes off that. But for now, it looks like it's teeing up to be a last lap dash, George.
I can't wait. I tell you what, I'm on the edge of my seat here, Jack, and if any of you have seen my commentator cams, usually I am so excited when moves happen, and certainly at this point here, lap 33 of 36, I could only see there being one way to finish, and that is a climax between some of the best that we have seen in the world of F1 Esports. Danny Beresnay seemingly back to his former best in the mix, but take a look at Lucas Blakely, who is again tailing his former teammate as once again they come together. The top 4 all banded together. Donoso still in the mix as well. Look at the front end here. Beresnay going defensive as now we see Bourmand go around the outside here of the Hungarian. He's going for P2 here at this point as well. Blakely also looking to try and pull himself through too. Here comes the Chilean. Here comes Fabrizio Donoso. Bourmand up to 2nd. Look at Donoso. Incredible stuff here now as they peel through towards turn 4, making their way out. Blakely in 3rd place. Bourmand 2nd. It's on. It's on for the win. Who's going to take it, folks? I cannot believe what I've just seen.
Oh wow, this is kicking off now. 0.7 of a second is the gap at the front right now. There was a tiny moment where I thought Jarno might just get himself out of DRS, but now the tyre life of Bourmand will come into effect. But it's now between these old rivals, Jarno Watmir, Barry Bourmand and Lucas Blakely. They have taken every single PSGL championship. We've got a 3-time champ and 2 one-time champions fighting it out for the win here in Brazil. But it could all end differently. Let's wait and see. 2 laps to go here in Brazil, and statistically wise, Barry Bourmand is in the best place right now. He's sitting P2 on the 2nd to last lap as they cross the line to begin lap 35, but You never know. It's ended stranger before, but there's still plenty to come in this race. But can Jarno hang on?
Jack, how many times have we had a Barry Burman, Jarno Opmeer finish? How many times in league racing history have we seen this? Jarno Opmeer now under pressure again. Just look at this. We've got a car as well further up. That looks like an Aston Martin that is dead ahead as well. I'm not sure if that's right. Just peeling their way through the first sector. I think I might have just missed it. Might have been a car that went off. It did. It's retired. A car at the very back. Not quite sure who that is, but still we're seeing the cars. They make their way through this next right. It certainly isn't Fabrizio Donoso, who's gone off at turn 4 as they peel their way through. Brendan Lee also sparring it out here with Shanaka Clay. They're coming together for 6th place. Brendan Lee doing enough to hold on at this rate as well. The calm before the storm has certainly erupted. The penultimate lap of the race is certainly afoot. Jarno Opmeer, who is now leading them through Junkau once again. He has got 2 cars in behind. Barry Burman as well as Lucas Blakely. Blakely coming off the back of winning an F1 Esports title. Barry Burman knows he needs to go for the lead here in this first sector to lay a challenge down to Jarno Opmeer. DRS opens up now. The Iranian goes full send on the outside. Can't find a way through. Blakely also looking for every chance as now they come through the center S's again. They have got the long stretch down the Retta Aposta. This is time for Burman to strike. They make their way down now. Opmeer goes ultra defensive. There goes Burman. Outside line now cuts through towards the inside as they make their way through. An incredible maneuver from Barry Burman as he tries to light things up here at the sharp end. The Scuderia goes hunting. Can't find a way through. Opmeer leads here in the first sector. He holds the lead, Jack Cannan.
That is a stellar display of defence from Jarno Opmeer. Has he done enough? Barry's burned through his ERS now. There's only a couple more opportunities, a couple more corners to go. A battle for the ages between 3 of our previous champions. Will it be enough now? It'll be a run for the line between Jarno Opmeer, Barry Burman and Lucas Blakely. Breathe in, ladies and gentlemen. A run to the line for the final race here in Brazil. Coming to the line, Jarno Opmeer versus Barry Burman. Who will it be? DRS open for Barry Burman. Side by side to the line. It's going to be Barry Burman who wins in Brazil by 1/10 of a second across the line. He takes his first victory of the season, just beating out Jarno Opmeer on the line. Danny Beresnay finishes in 3rd, beating Lucas Blakely by 3/100ths of a second. Brendan Lee P5, Shanaka Clay, Tom Manley, Wilson Hughes, Jake Benham and Josh Ito are your point scorers. Barry is back on top, but what a finish!
I tell you what, vibes of the great battle between that of Lewis Hamilton and Pierre Gasly only a matter of years ago over a podium place where Gasly would lay claim to the podium. It would indeed be Barry Burman with a stellar run out of Junkau, holding it round the outside, using the DRS, using all the overtake, getting past the Flying Dutchman, the current PSGL champion. Barry Burman wins the Brazilian Grand Prix and enhances our record once again here at Brazil as well. This time around, a stellar display from the young man who adds his name to a win tally of Brazilian Grand Prix victors here at PSGL. Yet another one we can add to the list. An absolutely sensational display. He, of course, did not start last season here at this very track, but arrived here this time around, taking the victory here at PSGL. Interlagos lighting up with the sound of a Ferrari engine, and it's Barry Burman on top. He has won, certainly, the PSGL Brazilian Grand Prix. What a stellar drive. Jarno Opmeer, an incredible strategic call. Very nearly took the victory home with him. 2nd was all he could lay claim to after that last gasp fight, heading up towards the line. But credit to Danny Beresnay, Jack Cannan, 3rd place here in tonight's race. Have a look at this. I just cannot believe it. Burman up in the front end, Opmeer in 2nd. These two have been fighting it out, of course, year on year in league racing as time has gone on. Opmeer starting in 7th. Take nothing away from him. It was a stellar drive. Beresnay in 3rd. Lucas Blakely in 4th. What a battle he had as well to try and lift himself higher up the order. Brendan Lee in 5th. 18th to 5th, Jack Cannan. Incredible display. Shanaka Clay as well in 6th. Further down, let's take a look at the bottom 10 as well. Of course, Caraton, Donoso, Kiefer, Norgrove, Pookie, Ronha, Shipos, Parajish, Moreno. We did lose Dylan Warren earlier on as well. An incredible drive from Wilson Hughes to go from P10 to P8 as well. Tom Manley, 7th from P9. He gave a great account of himself too. But how about that, folks? A drive from the ages, an incredible performance. Barry Burman, probably he will enlist that as one of his greatest wins of his career, and I personally would agree.
What a fight! That was a pleasure to watch. That was strategies meeting in the middle. That was Jarno on much older tyres, keeping Barry at bay, but Barry being patient and waiting to the very last possible moment. And these two, once again, they've been fighting it out for the championship since we began in season 27. These two used to be teammates at Alfa Romeo, let's not forget, a couple of seasons ago, a long time ago now it seems. But that was just epic to watch. That was 3 PSGL titles for Jarno. That was 5 PSGL titles fighting it out at the front end in that race. That was a pleasure to watch. And the thing is, the stats won't even tell the story of that, because that's gonna show that Barry Borman won from pole. That's not going to tell the story at all. But that was wonderful to watch.
It was absolutely stellar, Jack Canan. I personally loved it. I thought it was great. By the way, shout out to GT Omega if you guys didn't know. I unfortunately had my hoodie just blocking it. Of course, thank you, Jack. Big thank you, everyone in the live chat. I hope you all enjoyed that. We certainly did. I'm a bit sweaty after that one, Jack. I'm not going to lie to you. But yes,
well, the waistcoat doesn't help.
No, it probably doesn't. It's made to make me look sharp. I'm actually dripping after that one. Absolutely phenomenal. What a race. I want to talk about Berejne as well. He seems to be back to his best. I like what I'm seeing from the Hungarian right now. A very shrewd signing from Mercedes, Jack.
Absolutely, yeah. Brilliant to see him fighting up at the front end. I was close with my prediction, P3. I tipped him for the win. I wasn't far off. He was close towards the end, but yeah, that was just epic to watch. But it's great to see so many drivers returning to form. You got to feel a tiny bit bad for Fabrizio Donoso. The man did not put a foot wrong the whole race. Tire life was the big undoing there towards the end. But he, again, is back up at the front end. So, you know, what you're seeing here in PSGL is previewing F1 esports, because this is what it's going to be like. You got to feel for going forward. This is the wonderful thing is, the races are so interesting now. Everyone's mixing up the strategies. We had 3 different strategies inside the top 10 for a while. Old tyres versus new tyres. Wonderful.
Well, I'm pleased to say, folks, that we do have Jarno Opmeer joining us in the commentary box. Let's have a little chinwag with the man who has taken 2 F1 esports titles. Jarno, what a stellar display. Welcome back to the interview room. Great to have you here. And once again, a stellar drive from yourself, I think. Even though you didn't take the victory, I think the strategy call was very sensible.
Yeah, I think it was a good strategy call. Still, I think made some mistakes in other parts of the race, which was unfortunate. But yeah, I think in the end of the day, it was a really good strategy. Right moment, right time. And yeah, unfortunately, just lost out by a few tenths. But yeah, as I said, it wasn't the perfect race still. So.
Well, I mean, I think it was certainly action-packed. I got to give you a lot of credit for the defence. I mean, how hard was it on that final lap? Obviously, I saw you go mega defensive towards turn 4 at Decidia de Largo. Of course, we all know Barry's pace, and he did have fresher tyres than anybody, certainly in that top 10. So how hard was it to keep that Ferrari behind?
Yeah, of course, he was on fresh tyres hunting me down, which made it a bit harder. But yeah, of course, when I defended from Barry into turn 1, 2, and then also into turn 4, I knew it wasn't over yet, because I knew Barry with his fresher tire was going to be on me out of the final corner. And then after that, you're basically powerless. So yeah, I knew it wasn't over once I was ahead in the middle sector, especially with that last DRS zone. And yeah, Barry just had slightly more ERS as well, which made it a little bit harder. So.
Yeah, no, it was a pleasure to watch. And I've, of course, and Jack as well, we both bore witness of many battles between you and Barry in the past where it's come to league racing. Looks like we could see yet more this season as well. But also just to talk about Mercedes and the developments you guys have been doing as well, because we have seen, obviously, the likes of Danny Berejne returning to the team after a long time. He's seemingly coming back to his best, and with Kiefer as well, who is a former race winner. Of course, Jake Benham as well, who won at Zandvoort. You guys have really got an all-star team heading into a brand new F1 esports season.
Yeah, of course, having worked with Danny previously when I won my first F1 esports championship, I know how good he is, and I know how nice it is to work with Danny. And yeah, I know that Marcel works really hard as well. So it's just really nice to have two teammates that work really hard. And Jake, of course, I know from last year in the second half of the year how good he is, how much he practices. So yeah, we got just a really good team.
Yeah, definitely. And I think going forward, it definitely oozes confidence. In terms of the rest of the PSGL season, and how do you rate the season so far? Obviously, we've had a few moments, given the fact that the tie grip levels issue has now been solved. We've now switched back to the proper liveries this time. And with the calendar itself, are you confident heading in through the rest of the season?
Yeah, I think finally I can actually fight for pole positions again. Because in last year's game I simply couldn't. Many times my PB was slower than, or at least a 10 slower than the pole position. So that always made it very, very hard to fight for the win, especially pole position.
Yeah.
And now it actually feels like it is actually possible to get pole position again. So that's very nice. In Zandvoort, I felt that way as well. In Bahrain and race 2 Kota, I felt that way as well. So yeah, I just got good pace again. Of course, made some strategic mistakes in the past few races, but yeah, the tires have changed so much that it's not easy to nail. So
yeah, definitely a lesson. I think a lot of the drivers are certainly trying to learn, but I think you can be proud of your display certainly tonight. So congratulations, Jarno, on a stellar performance and a great podium. Well done.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jarno Opmeer, everybody. We're going to move on now to Barry Burman, of course, race winner this time around as well. Barry, welcome back to the winner's circle, taking a victory here yet again, coming off the back of winning your first PSGL title last time out. You must be feeling good after that when you left certainly the best till the very last minute.
Yeah, first of all, hello to you and everyone who are watching. But yeah, it was an intense race. It was crazy. Like, we knew we both first of all, yeah, we just the quali was fine, but I mean it was so tricky. Like, when it is wet in Q1 and then you have to get used to dry, it's always tricky for every drivers. And yeah, I'm happy to get a pole. Missed a little bit time in the last corner, but I think everyone can say that because I had a slide in the last corner. But yeah, still got pole, super happy. And but yeah, and in the race, we knew both strategy, but I don't know, I had a better feeling to go on hard and to do hard medium. And then we knew it's gonna be so tough because people gonna go for undercut. And then yeah, I mean, when I went out and I asked the engineer and he told me you're P14, like net P14. I was a bit scared, but I knew I had a full ERS and fresh tires. So I tried my best, and yeah, it was, and I got the win. Thanks to the strategy, and of course the pace was quite good as well. And GG to Jarno and Danny. And I just wanted to say to Danny, I don't know if that looked bad on the stream on turn 2. I just tried my best. I tried to come inside as much as I can, but even if it was like, I don't know, desync or anything, or it was not my fault, I just wanted to say sorry. Didn't mean to do that.
Oh, well, that's very, very generous of you, certainly, Barry. I think, nonetheless, obviously, the stewards are going to be hard at work religiously anyway, but yeah, great to hear that. But off the back of this, though, Barry, back to your seemingly best. We've, of course, seen many up at the sharp end, and naturally, I think this is definitely going to be the most competitive season of F1 esports I think we've ever seen. Coming off a win like that, how imperative and how important is that win at Brazil tonight?
I mean, to be honest, I think all the team working pretty hard behind the scenes to just, be more prepared for F1 esport. And we're just trying our best. If you remember, like up before the patch, the equal car patch, it was like, we had no race pace. And then I'm super happy that we actually find race pace. It's just back to normal. Because, after first and 2 race, like I was a little bit like shocked because like why we are so slow in the race, and right now it's actually quite good, but still, of course, lots to improve, lots to learn in every aspect, quali, race, everything, just more understanding about the game. But yeah, I think every team pushing so hard to understand the game better and to be more prepared for F1 esport.
Yeah, well, it's definitely going in the right direction. And you obviously mentioned that quali was good, race pace was solid. How much work has been going on behind the scenes? Have you been busy at Team Ferrari at this moment in time?
Yeah, I mean, these past few weeks I've been driving quite a lot. We as a team sweating the game and sweating like everything, just try to learn and help each other, of course. And yeah, it's been going well. And as I said, I'm always that guy that thinks everything can be improved. So we're just trying to look at every aspect again and trying to improve.
Yeah, that's great to hear. Congratulations on the stellar win, Barry. Enjoy it, and I'm sure we'll see you back again soon.
Yeah, thank you so much, and thank you for your commentating as well.
That's very kind. Thank you very much, Barry. We're going to move onwards now to a vintage performance from Danny Berejne. He joins us here in the commentary box. Also, not a bad commentator in his own right as well. Danny, welcome back to the commentary box here at PSGL. A stellar performance from yourself. It looks like you're back to your best.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's great to be on PSGL podium again. Now the qualifying session was very good by me, and it's crucial. I just need to keep up these performances there, and race pace is definitely there. I mean, before the patch, I was using the Haas car, which was apparently the worst or the second worst with the Ferrari in terms of tire wear. So, and even then, I had great point scoring performances. So I'm really happy about that, but still need to iron out a few things with strategy and positioning. Jarno was a lot of positions behind me in the first stint, and he jumped me, and then I didn't seem to have enough advantage to get him back because I lost a bit of ERS fighting other parts of the train. The battle with Barry was a little bit unfortunate by me because I lost positions to Lucas, and I also nearly lost a position to Fabrizio Donoso, and I needed to burn some more battery. So it really put me on the back foot. I truly believe that if just little things go better by just 1%, it would have been a chance to fight for the victory, but maybe that's a story of another race. Anyway, I want to thank you for the nice words and fair racing of Barry, because I also made mistakes in previous runs, and I personally didn't really see where he was. It's a really tricky corner. We even saw 9 times world champions combined, Lewis Hamilton and Verstappen colliding there. So I think it happens in racing, but we all try our best to get the best result and produce a fair and great show as well.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, it's great to see the battling, and we definitely saw a great fight out there tonight. And I think also from your side of things as well, Danny, I mean, it's been sort of consistent where we've seen you perhaps really strong in terms of race pace, but trying to hook up that qualifying has taken a little bit of time. But it certainly seemed tonight that you were well on form. It definitely looked like the pace was there. And obviously, you've been a previous winner here in this race here in PSGL before. So obviously no stranger to big results here at Brazil. You know, and I've got to congratulate you on your return to Mercedes as well. Obviously, you were back there with Brendan Lee back in 2018, where he would go on to take his second championship. And you've returned here this time. What's it been like since you made the move back? We heard from Jarno, obviously saying how great it was to have you back there as well. What's the feeling? Are you enjoying being back at Brackley?
Yes, very much enjoying it. This is really a team that tries the absolute best in every aspect. To perform not just in esports but in life, to sleep good, eat good, train good and efficient, and it's a team where I can also improve, and it's a team where I know that we can win the most importantly the Constructors' Championship, but also fight for the Drivers' Championship. I've been a teammate with Jarno Opmeer in the past when he won his first championship back in 2020 with the Alfa Romeo. And we are just trying to repeat history, but in other colors.
Yeah, and I certainly imagine you'd rather have yourself up at the top of the helm as well, which could happen if you continue the form like you're showing right now. But yeah, a stellar performance from yourself, Danny. Great to have you back, and I'm sure there'll be many more as well.
Thank you so much. thank you so much for commentating and having this interview. Have a nice evening, everyone.
Yeah,
Bye-bye.
take care, Danny. True class as always, and great to have him here as well. Obviously, just a little point of note to everybody at home, because I'm sure it's right on the tips of your tongue. Obviously, off the back of that result, obviously all results are re-looked at. Obviously, all incidents are reviewed as well at the stewards after the race. So the results are provisional up until that point. Obviously, we go through them. We have to announce them as winners because they are technically crossing the track. But post-race, of course, this is the point where the stewards will take a look. So if there are any changes up at the sharp end, stay tuned in to social media. Another excuse for you guys to follow the channels as well to make sure you're up to date. The standings will get updated as well after post this show as well. There'll be plenty of time when that is obviously, well, they will be updated as soon as the stewards have been updated, put it that way. But hey, we've just heard some words there from Jarno, seemingly back to his best. We've heard from Danny Berejne, who's also seemingly back to his best as well. Definitely showing some true pace here, Jack. And Barry Burman, who hasn't skipped a beat since last season. I think we're going to be in for a real treat this year.
Yeah, that race has given us some great excitement. Honestly, if that patch has done the world of good for this, bringing these guys back into the fold. You heard how Barry was saying how they were so frustrated that they couldn't find any pace, and I think it was an interesting little note there that it was Ferrari and Mercedes who were apparently the worst and second worst on tyre wear. And now look at the results. The week after the patch, it's Ferrari winning, with the Mercedes, technically the Mercedes drivers in second and third. So it's done the world of good for the racing. It seems everyone's really close together now, and well, this season is teeing up to be very, very special if we could have all those guys fighting it out behind. But yes, results are provisional. Obviously, it's up to the drivers to put stewards' inquiries in as well. So it's, again, the stewards are working on voluntary time as well. But it was nice to hear the words from Danny Berejne, basically saying it happens sometimes, and they were. We know it was hard racing. Sometimes he could have put his stewards' inquiry in. Sometimes you decide not to because you don't want the hassle sometimes. But it was nice to hear the maturity, Danny Berejne. I think that might be the old head on his shoulders.
I agree. I think definitely someone who's been there and done that, got the T-shirt, has obviously been part of this fraternity for a long, long time, and great to see the camaraderie between the two talents as well. And certainly this does really bode well for the future of this championship. We've got many more to come as well, folks, so sit tight. We're going to be in for a real treat. Obviously, more rounds to come, and there'll be plenty more to bring you as well, so stay tuned. Obviously, we're going to look at some of the rest of the races coming up on the calendar. Las Vegas is, in fact, going to be our next trip on July 19th. We're going to follow that with a trip to Silverstone on July 26th as well. Qatar is next, the first trip to the Losail circuit in league racing. That's going to be a fascinating display too on August 2nd, with then Red Bull Ring coming up again on August 9th. Can you imagine if we get Otmir and Moreno back together for that one? That could be fun. But yes, folks, that is what's coming up. But if you want to check out PSGL, and make sure you stay tuned, because the stewards' decisions might come through, they might not. You'll have to wait and see if the drivers have posted them. Find out by making sure you tune into the PSGL Twitter pages and also to that of the Instagram pages. And they're also on Threads as well at Premier Sim GL. That is how you find them. If you want to go and head across, please do so and get all the updates fresh from there. If you want to stay up to date as well with whenever PSGL goes live, you can do so by subscribing to this channel. Make sure you do. You get updates not only from PCF1 when we go live, but also from all the other tiers as well when they go racing, and platforms too, because don't forget, PlayStation as well as PC too. Also, if you want to check me out, my name is of course George Morgan. I'm part of your commentary lineup team this evening. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok and Threads as well at George Morgan TV. Make sure you utilize that George Morgan TV. That'll direct you to the right place. And Jack, what about yourself as well? Care to share your socials, my friend?
Absolutely. Well, check out the beautiful graphics right below our names if you ever fancy in the middle of the race, if something's, well, in the rare chance that nothing's happening on the screen, you can go follow our socials. At JackCComs is my one on Twitter, and you can find me on Instagram at Jack_Canan if you fancy that as well. But Las Vegas next week. We saw it tonight with the short straight, the quote-unquote short straight that Brazil has, how effective the DRS is. I'm excited for next week.
Could be a few double overtakes, I think, for that one, Jack. And it's not only that place as well. Losail is going to be a tantalising affair as well. Can't wait for that one. So sit tight, folks. You're going to be in for a treat. It looked like Barry Burman was back to his well, certainly back to his best. He never really left, did he? But what about the likes of Otmir coming back on this new handling model of the game? And what about Berejne? Vintage display. We'll see if he can bring it again next time when we go racing. Guys, it's been a pleasure. Take care of yourselves. We'll see you again soon. Goodbye.
Desperately trying to hang on. He's got the inside, but Otmir is through on the left-hand side. Hooks the apex, gets on the power nicely, and that is job done. Jarno Otmir now to the last couple of corners now. His finest drive, his greatest drive, and he's done it at the Circuit of the Americas. He returns to the top step of the podium. Once again, the GOAT is back. Jarno Otmir wins the US Grand Prix in a stunning Grand Prix.
Cocaine in my nose, there got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, there got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, there got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, there got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, there got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, there got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, there got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my OG, got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my OG, got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my OG, got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my OG, got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my OG, got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my OG, got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my OG, got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my OG, got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my OG, got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my OG, got me locked in on cup though. got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on